Thank you for staying with us as we're getting ready for our final match of the day. It's going to be AHQ and Hong Kong Attitude. If it's anything like we just saw, I mean, whew, these are some tight games.
I'm well prepared for like a big long night here. Like I'm so pumped up on adrenaline right now. That last series was absolutely killer. This one has got like so much writing on it that I guarantee 3-0, Game 5, whatever it comes down to, it is going to be a killer set of matches.
All right, let's have a look at who our challengers are now. It's like Hong Kong Attitude are the kings of the hill and everyone else is like new challenger, AHQ.
yeah. A challenger appears.
Yeah, basically.
Hey,
You're going through a Pokemon gym and then you meet eyes with AHQ and they run up to you and challenge you.
Yeah, that's what. And they've got like some jaunty line. If it was Hong Kong Attitude, if Hong Kong Attitude were like the trainer that comes up to you, they'd be like, I'm not feeling very good about my performance lately. So here we go.
I mean, as much as they don't feel good about it, they haven't lost. They have not been losing. They're on a win streak.
It's like they're just reverse psychologying their way to victory like every time. Actually, every single time they've said we don't feel good, they've won without fail.
Here's the thing, I'll wait for the day, if it's even possible, won't happen anymore because they've already played Flash Rules, but if there's ever another time they play Flash Rules ever out there and, you know, they win, surely you're going to feel good after that, but you'll feel pretty fantastic tonight if you can close out the game against AHQ because this is the last two final teams you've got to go up against. Let's have a few words now.
虽然刚才我们险胜了一场，但是我们还会尽力打好这一场。
All right, so that was still a very close game, so we're going to try even harder for this one coming around.
那刚刚其实他们打好打满，那就是这一场我们也不会松懈了，因为他们现在手应该已经完全 on fire 了。
All right,
所以
so
我们会小心这一场比赛。
So Hong Kong Attitude would be pretty fired up after that last game, very warmed up as well. So we're going to be definitely taking this one very seriously and looking for a bit of revenge as well. And they should be because you know they've already lost to Hong Kong Attitude. They feel slightly better because Blank also lost them. So they're like, well, you know, we're going to win even with Blank there.
We're not just terrible, turns out Hong Kong Attitude are good.
Also, but also because this kind of means that it gives AHQ another opportunity to get, to get their second place ahead a little bit of Pixie. So there you go.
I did too. Wait a minute. But anyway, so the thing that's really riding on this series, like you said, I feel like for both teams, they each have two things on this. First of all, AHQ lost to Hong Kong Attitude last round robin. They want to get revenge. They want to turn that back around. Second of all, you're right, a win means they are actually in a shot to take that second seed. That is very important come playoffs. You get the home side advantage in the semis. That is absolutely huge, right? They don't want to lose that one. Hong Kong Attitude, they've secured fourth place, sure, that's a great thing. They've kind of done that with this win against Matchy, but what they want to do now, they want to prove that the AHQ win wasn't a one-off. They want to prove that they should make the playoffs in the place of AHQ, even though mathematically it's not possible. They want to debase this top three.
And if you're Hong Kong Attitude as well, you'll be going home and hopefully having a party after this if you do beat AHQ, because that's all your toughest competitors. You've already lost to Flash Rules. Can't really say much about that. Every team right now is just losing to Flash Rules, so you put up a fight, you came out on the other end of it. Not really great, but you did beat AHQ before. You beat Blank as well. If you beat AHQ again, plus you beat Machi tonight, that's it. That's all your competition out of the way, and the rest of the tournament is just kind of every other team below you, and your OPC run is essentially done. You got the best placing you can get without breaking the top three, which is that number 4 spot. So Hong Kong Attitude, after this, you win. I think you just go and celebrate.
And the thing is, I mean, without breaking the top 3 is one way to put it, but that's the thing. If they do actually pick up the win here, then in a sense, they kind of have broken the top 3. Not in that they've broken into it score-wise, but like I said, they will have debased it. They will be top 3 material in the power ranking sense. And the reason that's actually important is that's A, what they carry into Season 2, and B, what AHQ and Blank both carry into playoffs. They would carry a significant weakness.
At least against, against Hong Kong Attitude. And it's more of a strength of Hong Kong Attitude rather than a weakness of those other two teams, because Blank and AHQ are still monstrously good teams in their own right. It feels more like we talked a lot in the earlier series, in the other round robins, about how it looks like a three-team club. No other teams allowed, and the Hong Kong Attitude saying, well, you better open up one more spot because we're coming in whether you like it or not. And it feels like when you tear up the teams, Hong Kong Attitude have joined that tier 1 group with the other top 3 teams, and now that looks like a 4-team group rather than a 3-team group. And hell, maybe even Machier in there as well, based on how close that was.
That's the thing. I mean, it's almost like it's this 4-team group, and then Machi is trying to break into that, rather than it being 3 teams, and either Machi or Hong Kong Attitude are trying to break into that. And that's just, the nature of it. It's almost a shame it's not a 4-team playoff setup, because look, not only would Hong Kong
just make it an 8-team playoff.
thing is,
it's actually 9. They invite a new team.
Yeah. If that were the case, not only would Hong Kong Attitude deserve the spot, I would feel confident that they could get past the semi. That would be pretty significant.
Absolutely as well, and this is still a tough one for Hong Kong Attitude because AHQ get the home side. So what that really means is Hong Kong Attitude are going to only get map picks 2 and 3. That's the hybrid and the escort in the middle there. Meanwhile, AHQ get the control, assault, and hybrid 1, 3, and 5, as well as the starting sides. And so that really gives you a bit of a leg up in the series. So for AHQ Esports Club, you need to win this a lot more than Hong Kong Attitude does if you want that second place seed, which is important going to playoffs. Plus, you got the home side advantage to help you get that. If AHQ can get that second seed over Blank in the playoffs, they get the home team advantage in the playoffs itself, which is, like I just said here, a big deal. Map coming through now. It's going to be
Lijiang Tower. All right, this is very interesting. So I want to point out something here. I feel like there is actually a similarity between AHQ and Machi in a big kind of way, at least in terms of the level of the Tracer play, and then the fact that they follow it up with either a Soldier or a Genji. And right now, Dizzy has actually struggled a little bit. Even though he's a great player on that Soldier, he is getting aggressed upon a lot more. And when he's getting shut down, AHQ look a little bit lost. When you're then going to have to come up against Shaolin, you've got to match that guy on his Tracer. I actually feel like this could very much help Hong Kong Attitude over the line. But this is the exact same map they lost to Machi at the top of their series.
Now, you may have to jog my memory a bit, but the last time we saw AHQ versus Hong Kong Attitude, was it not AHQ winning the first map? Hong Kong Attitude then got the other 3?
It is exactly what happened. Yes,
is it because...
it was Lijiang Tower.
Because, well, the one thing I consider about AHQ in general, maybe not this matchup, but in general, I consider Control to be weak for AHQ.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because they don't have a superstar Tracer player. Hong Kong Attitude may or may not even have that themselves. Shailin's great, but still not a Bacon Jake. I think everyone in the tournament will agree. He's no Bacon Jake, but he is very good.
He's nearly a Bacon Jack.
Here's the other problem. He's
a hand jack.
He is... Okay, cool.
He's the inferior cut of Cured Pink.
Well, there it is. He just needs to trade himself up, maybe. But when we look at why I think AHQ are not so great at Control, the other reason is Dizzy right now. So one of the problems is Dizzy playing Tracer is maybe not as good as Shailin. The other problem is Dizzy's other pick, which is going to be Soldier, unfortunately just doesn't really work well enough on Control. Works well in just about every other game mode, but on Control, he gets flanked, he gets killed. It's really unfortunate. The teams that are making Soldier work on Control are the teams like Blank, other teams like Flashballs who have a superstar Tracer on their team, but actually Hong Kong Attitude already being able to beat Blank, but they couldn't take Blank on Control specifically.
You're quite right. There was Oasis, slightly different kettle of fish, but this is, once again, the place they lost a match. You're right, though. I do feel that AHQ are a little bit weaker on here. Yeah, here we go. Triple DPS out 4.
Actually, K4's going to... I think K4 was maybe half... No, he wasn't expecting Soldier. He wasn't expecting Fire, rather. He's just going to play Soldier because he wants to.
This is, like you say, very volatile, and I feel like this is where Shailin can shine. Good aggression on the Cam, and they're barely keeping alive, but they've lost the one tank. This is now making it difficult for AHQ. Dizzy trying to get onto the backside.
What?
That is a triple... That's
what? Even more?
What just happened? They just team-wiped. The Lucio just team-wiped.
Oh, and look, I thought Restia had a really good boot, but Crappy shows you how it's done.
Let's play the game right there.
That's a DPS stanky, YouTube clip highlight-worthy play right there, and I cannot wait for the play of the game for that one to actually happen.
Tell you what,
get your clip fingers ready for that.
Yeah, that is rough. Hong Kong Attitude were looking great up until that moment as well, actually. Like, they had just taken out Erican. They're getting good pressure onto Dizzy and Carmen. Let's see if they can actually pull that off this time around now, but they do have to aggress on to the point.
Oh, they're actually focusing Crappy for a moment. I saw his health go down very low, so there we go. Dizzy picks up a kill, CQB instead.
Yeah, now they've got the DPS ultimates up in their favor. Yeah, I think they are just taking the dive to reset and not give away too much more ultimate charge, but they're kind of struggling with it, and Dizzy's still going to pick up that ult charge anyway. He's able to go aggressive. Hong Kong Attitude kind of struggling to find their window in this one. Very botched retreat as well.
It was, because Jinkow's suicide is so early. The rest of the team are like, well, I don't know, maybe we should retreat because we're not going to take a dive over the side. Actually, we can't even retreat now because we're all just going to die instead. That's actually going to give AHQ a lot of momentum, a lot of progress, ultimates as well to play with. They're looking like they're set up to go even another 20%.
Hong Kong Attitude really have to answer hard here. That is an early sound barrier now forced out here of AHQ, but the Transcendence was there from Hong Kong Attitude. They open up here, there we go. Attack Visor against 2. That's a great way to kick this one wide open. Lazy Tank going to try and answer with his own, but K4 is keeping the pressure on. Good sound barrier, and it closes out on Erican as well. So the Attack Visor from Lazy Titan gets less than nothing. Keras floats away with his life, but Hong Kong Attitude cap the point.
And the DPS ultimates, if you're Hong Kong Attitude, are worth so much more because if you attack Visor as K4, guess what? No Diva on the other side. Oh yeah, by the way, there are 3 weak DPSs plus 2 weak supports. You just got to get past Winston, and suddenly every other kill is just yours.
There we go, Jinkao throwing out an early self-destruct there. K4, very hard pressured. He does not live through it. Good pressure by Dizzy. And they don't really get anything. Krabby's looking for more environmental kills, so going to be having some flashbacks here if you're Hong Kong Attitude. But in any case, they lost that fight in pretty quick fashion. Ating is going to try and stall this one out, and they have to try and get K4 back into this one. He's kind of rushing for it, but they're struggling. They aren't actually converting kills. AHQ are in command at this point. Ating, he's going to go down here in a moment now. Yeah, the cap is very slow to come through. Hong Kong Attitude do buy time, but they're not really getting these kills through. Dizzy securing one out with the pulse bomb there. Unless K4 gets something insane, this will go back over to AHQ, and Hong Kong Attitude will have time for one more fight.
There's a surprising number of trades though, which is great for Hong Kong Attitude.
AHQ actually haven't got the point yet.
Yeah, that's another thing. AHQ are taking so long to get the point that Hong Kong Attitude are actually getting a ton of progress. In fact, AHQ were still using ultimates towards the end of that. Now they will probably get the point, but actually they're going to get past the Ting. They got to get past the Ting first. So Hong Kong Attitude just came up from nearly nowhere. They're about to equal the progress of AHQ.
They are. They have given a lot of ult charge over at the end.
Ultimate.
This is unnecessary. It's closed out the pilot, but there's still plenty of time for AHQ to get another attack in.
But this is exactly what Hong Kong Attitude's goal was, to A, actually get that progress up, and B, force the ultimates out. They got both. That's a huge win for Hong Kong Attitude in my book, despite AHQ getting the cap over. Now Hong Kong Attitude's just got to take this fight, maybe cross their fingers a little, get past the Primal Rage, get past the Dragon Blade as well.
Cowman has to pull a lot of weight with that one, you're right. Erican going very aggressive. They're pumping shots into it. K4 doesn't quite close it on, but Erican is very low. That means his attack visor can do a lot. They do have to contest the point itself, though. They had to go for it. Mango very early out with that one, but they're not on it. Oh, dearie me. And the double ultimates out from the DPS of AHQ does secure that one out. They didn't quite commit to the point early enough, not quite quick enough on the go button, and they do, unfortunately, not quite get that extra fight.
Yeah, absolutely not. Still a very decent contester, and I still really like and respect the kind of play Hong Kong Attitude had towards the end. And I think AHQ even kind of misplayed them when Hong Kong Attitude fell into a bit of a trap. They still kind of came out ahead at the end of the day, and where really Hong Kong Attitude kind of failed was in that recontest towards the end, where they needed to be able to secure the overtime and then maybe push for, you know, a very long fight where they just kind of eventually overpower AHQ. That would have been their game plan. Couldn't quite get the overtime, so the first part of their plan just didn't even work.
And that's, I guess, one of the things, one of the trade-offs with triple DPS is actually you have to respect how small your health pools are, even though it's only 1 or 2 guys on the point. Sometimes you do have to commit the ultimate there for safety's sake, because sometimes not committing the ultimate means you lose a member and you have a numbers disadvantage for the next fight.
One of the biggest things for triple DPS is actually the support ultimates, because that keeps you alive, and that's super important.
Oh, speaking
way more
of,
than if you have tanks.
Good trade back, but Ating going down is a little bit rough for them. K4D getting a lot of work done, and he's going aggressive onto this top side now. Doesn't quite find the Zenyatta, but they've forced the hand of AHQ, and now Hong Kong Attitude, despite losing Ating right at the top of that one, actually had really great dive to come through there and completely shut down AHQ.
And AHQ didn't lose too many members, which is kind of good for them, so they're not going to bleed too much progress for Hong Kong Attitude. The time is going to be the big factor here. How much percentage can Hong Kong Attitude get before AHQ kind of turn this one around, if they actually do at all?
Gonna have to be the ones aggressing onto the point. They don't have the ultimates to do it just yet, but Dizzy could open this one up with the pulse bomb before long.
And the first ultimate that comes up is really important. So K4 getting that kill. Shailin has pulse bomb ready to go as well.
No, they can't do that now. They lost carry. Lost carriers at the top, and then they got really good aggression onto Lazy Titan. Look, it doesn't really matter now that AHQ is starting to get a couple of return kills, because they've already lost this fight. What they've done is really just kind of charge up some ultimates for Hong Kong Attitude.
And no one actually used ultimates there, so that's kind of interesting. The first couple of ultimates coming up with both Tracers, a little bit expected. Both of the first players that died with both the Zenyatas, so again, kind of expected. Now we're going to see which of the teams going to be able to initiate and initiate it better, and Pulse Bomb probably going to be the tool to use.
Hong Kong Attitude just barely getting their health bars topped off before this one looks to open out. K4 deep.
Ouch,
Oh, great
ouch.
one there. Yeah, and they need to convert some kills onto this DPS here now. They catch Keras. Pulse Bomb goes into the mix. It does catch one, but the response is there, and Hong Kong Attitude struggling
Lazy
here.
Titan.
Unless Shylin gets it on the back of his back, but it's not quite enough. Not even with catching Lazy Titan. Cowman able to close that one out, and K4 is only just respawning, so AHQ do start to get themselves on the board.
That was actually a really good fight for AHQ in the sense that they took the fight in that very small room onto the side where Cowman got a ton of resets. Difficult for Shylin to really maneuver. Pulse Bomb missed as well. Took a long time to actually kill Lazy Titan, who was sitting on no health. So, you know, Cowman well played.
Ting is getting very hard aggressed upon here, and Keras is committing a Transcendence onto it. They do finally close out the kill onto Mango Jai, but they get a response kill here onto Erican, so it's kind of a tough one. K4 is barely staying alive here. CQB is kind of having to work overtime. They're not quite converting more kills onto these DPSs, but Shylin sneaking around the side, and AHQ, they might actually accidentally give up the cap here. That's exactly what is going to happen.
Oh man, that is really poor. AHQ got to be paying a lot more attention to that.
And Crappy going down means they've now effectively lost this fight, even with the trade back onto K4. They lose their other healer, and they honestly don't have enough support for these DPSs to properly contest, I feel. Even so, even if they do, by the time they really get in here and get the cap,
losing too many.
Hong Kong Attitude will pass it over the 90% line. And yeah, you're right, they are losing too many. Jinkai will take the dive there because they've lost the fight, sorry, they've won the fight rather, and he can't just get the mech back.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to get back in time as well because AHQ are going to be speeding onto this cap. And finally, they've been saving DPS ultimates. They have a defensive one in there as well. Everything should get committed by AHQ.
And there's already an open out. They catch Erica, and the sound barrier is good for AHQ, but Cowman is not really finding much. They are starting to turn them over now, and Shylin, the only DPS still in the mix for this one for Hong Kong Attitude, and he's had to go into retreat. That is the cap through. Very good, clean fight from AHQ, and very clean retreat from Hong Kong Attitude.
And they still save two of the attacking ultimates, which is very important. Killing Mango Jai at the top means wasted time for Hong Kong Attitude. AHQ will be happy to sort of have that under their belts because they need to be able to catch up on this progress. They're so far behind on progress. They got to win like two fights minimum. You got two DPS ultimates to do that with. The Tech Visor they got to get good mileage of because so far I think Lazy Titan has been pulling out a lot of times.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? AHQ haven't actually stabilized
Pulse
yet.
bomb left.
Pulse bomb wide, that's a little unfortunate. They haven't really converted a kill just yet either, so here's the aggression now from Shylin. K4 going aggressive.
Nice.
Oh, good shutdown by Lazy Titan. Dizzy does get traded back, and Mango has forced out the Transcendence. There we go. Lazy Titan forced back. Jinkai, good pickup. And AHQ, the DBSs start to fall apart a little bit. The commit is a little late by Keras. Dizzy only just respawning. Hong Kong Attitude looking to pile onto this point. Then they are really trying to close these ones out. Good catch onto Keras. They need to close out Cowman though. Shylin can also not afford to lose his life. Pulse Bomb goes out and it does zone HQ off the point, but they come back in for the recontest. Good close out, and they have got Cowman in among that too. They will get the cap over 99%. Who here from AHQ can contest. Lazy Titan gets taken out. Hong Kong Attitude, they even it up 1-1.
Oh boy, that is a fantastic closeout from Hong Kong Attitude, 1-1. So still anyone's game really, but that looked a lot better for Hong Kong Attitude than the Gardens did. And we're going to see at least 4 maps now out of this entire Lijiang series. So Hong Kong Attitude, if they start kind of poor and then they sort of get themselves into the groove later on, that's kind of better for them. That still really works out for them. I mean, that's exactly what happened in the Machi series as well. Lose 2 maps, come back with 3, you still win at the end of the day.
It's what happened in the Blank series. They lost 1, came back with 3. Same with AHQ, lost 1, came back with 3. Maybe this is just Hong Kong Attitude. They take a bit of time to kind of sound out the enemy team, get into the groove of how we dismantle them. And it does look like this is actually happening a little bit earlier. I mean, they did do a really great job of shutting down triple DPS there compared to the first one. And now I expect a similar thing to happen here on Control Center.
To be honest, this is the best I've seen out of the AHQ triple DPS. They've tried this for a few matches now. It's been hit or miss. Now it's got a lot more hit than it is miss, which is great to see for them.
Good dive by Ting, trying to get the early aggression on. It needs to not lose his life. K4 going in deep, trying to catch these healers. Good deflect, and he gets Keras. Good reflect, yeah, on the Helix Rockets. Does get his life traded back, but that opens the door now for Hong Kong Attitude to aggress. And Cowman and Lazy Titan force back. They even get the kill. Good pressure by Shylin. They close them out. Hong Kong Attitude all over the point. They will get the cap through, and they even get some more on the backside of this one to charge up the ults.
Wow, that's a pretty decent fight out of Hong Kong Attitude. A little bit unfortunate for AHQ, and you know, not getting the early start for AHQ has really impacted them, and that's kind of what happened that we've seen on night markets already. So, I mean, Hong Kong Attitude just they're starting to look like they are outclassing AHQ a little bit here.
Yeah, it is starting to seem to be the case. Shylin with this pulse bomb up. that could just swing a fight right off the bat. But we have seen a bit of inconsistency in those getting landed. A team getting aggressive on as well needs to retreat.
Right, first ultimate in the game, already up now. Shaolin wants more pulse bomb. Where did it go?
Well.
Catches the player. There it is.
That's what they were after, and they get the aggression onto carries as well. They do commit out the Transcendence to make sure that they can convert this one into a safe fight win, but it is a good fight win, and they do charge up a few extra ultimates off that as well. They will now have the Sound Barrier and Primal Rage for this next fight.
They definitely buy in an extra few percentage points. They should be able to get over 50% before AHQ even contested this one. Dizzy likely to have to get a good pulse one to get anything done here, because I'm not really seeing a good win condition for AHQ. They need to get past a Sound Barrier and a Dragon Blade on the Hong Kong Attitude side, and Hong Kong Attitude can still just commit early, and they exactly are going to do that.
Exactly, indeed, and they already catch Lazy Titan.
Wow.
What a one! They do finally stick the pulse bomb to shut him down, and that does get Jin Kao's mech as well. And no, my goodness, Cowman, he goes very aggressive. He is low, so he actually spends most of that Dragon Blade going back for a health pack. And Hong Kong Attitude, they can keep this one alive thanks to the Sound Barrier, and a Ting can commit the Primal Rage too. The rest of the team will try and flood back, but Cowman closing out Mango means Hong Kong Attitude, all they'll be able to do is stall. The Ting does actually pop the ultimate because here comes the DPS now, but Lazy Titan, this Tactical Visor is doing a good amount of work. Jin Kao is back in this one, and this is anyone's fight, but Hong Kong Attitude are racking up a ton of time, as much as AHQ are converting the kills through, and now Hong Kong Attitude can just gladly retreat, knowing that they can just come back and win one more fight and take them out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, they actually still haven't given up the cap yet, so I'm expecting even going to 99% here. They can choose to stop losing members here. This is okay for Hong Kong Attitude. Just let the cap go over. AHQ will get it eventually. Neither team has ultimates, but at least Hong Kong Attitude has a lot of time to play with.
Yeah, they really do, and they've got the ultimates as well. I mean, all they're really going to be fighting through is a Transcendence here, and probably a Pulse Bomb as well, but even that is a little inconsistent. Shaolin will have one of his own. And once again, either of those landing well can crack this fight wide open. There are more targets on the side of AHQ.
And Hong Kong Attitude don't have to fully commit here. They can just sort of play the fight a little bit. Maybe if they get picked early, they back off. If they get a pick early, then they can commit. They got time to play.
There it is.
Both Transcendences. Wow, okay, this is happening.
This is already actually good for Hong Kong Attitude. Their Pulse Bomb goes wide out of Dizzy as well. Cowman goes deep, and he does get Mango, but traded back. They found a Ting. There's the Pulse Bomb out, though. It is good. It zones off Lazy Titan, but they actually racked up the kills. Yeah, Shaolin gets forced out. So they don't actually close out the kills. That is the unfortunate thing, because everything was going well. Jin Kao also opted to not use the self-destruct earlier in the fight to zone out the team, and now is kind of in that pet diva situation. So HQ, they steer themselves cleanly through what was probably the harder defense and have actually stabilized.
I actually wanted to see a little bit more patience out of Hong Kong Attitude there, and the zoning with the Pulse Bomb. He wanted to go for the stick on the Lazy Titan, and zone's not going to be good enough because no matter all these ultimates coming out, Transcendence, whatever have you, not enough kills in Hong Kong Attitude's favor. K4's got to get a lot done now. He got that triple kill with the Blade before. He's got to make a similar performance again if he actually wants to get that through. That should be the go sign.
Oh, that really is good pressure onto Cowman as well. They've got him, and now Dizzy forced to recall. Lazy Titan could swing this one with this Tactical Visor. He has to commit it now. Good deflect, and now it's getting blocked up by Jin Kao. He's going to get nothing for it, and now this is just Erican alone on the point trying to go hard, and he's way away from it.
Mango,
good secure out, and they held on to the ults. Not a single one used in that fight for Hong Kong Attitude. Crappy uses his Sound Barrier to try and buy some time, but Hong Kong Attitude now 2-1 up.
I will correct you and say that CQB used a Sound Barrier there, but
Actually,
other than that, they didn't, because what I expected was K4 to use the Dragon Blade. He didn't end up using that, and no one else used anything else either. So all the sort of real, I would have said, tangible win conditions, like here's an ultimate, this is going to get you a lot of work done, that didn't really come out. We're actually seeing a lot of fights just come down to who manages to get a pick out, where do you find these players, can you get that turned into 6v5, 6v4, suddenly you win, and you didn't even use a single ultimate to get there, so that's a big deal.
And I'll tell you what, Hong Kong Attitude are, generally speaking, a team that is good at doing that. They are good at just getting a pick early on, good at leveraging a numbers advantage. I would say they're one of the strongest teams in this tournament for doing that. So this triple DPS, in a way, kind of plays into that. It makes it more volatile than ever for AHQ.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, AHQ, sometimes they're just absolutely going off, and a lot of times, though, there's just not enough health to keep them all alive.
K4 getting pressured out, but he's on the biofield.
Should go down.
Yeah, Erican able to retreat. Cowman in trouble, though. Does go down, doesn't quite get to the health pack. There we go. Good train by K4. And he gets Dizzy as well, along with a Ting. So this should be Hong Kong Attitude coming out the better for this one. Another biofield down to top off his health. They're going to barrel for the point, get the cap through now that it's opened.
There we go. They're going to get the last count to Lazy Titan as well. So you see, you know, all these DPSs, they're great. They can do a lot of damage. They also die super quickly. I almost want to just see the 2-2-2 come out of AHQ. I'd hate to see AHQ drop Lijiang because they just really want to make triple DPS work, and I don't think it's working for them the way they want.
Yeah, look, like we said, there is a lot on the line for this. Like, this isn't, AHQ versus Sun Sister where they can, play around a little bit. They do need to stop, in their own words, experimenting. They do need to stop trying to play that way. They need to just play with what works. Heck, maybe that's even triple tag, because losing this puts them down in the series. Losing the series cuts them off pretty much for good from getting that second place seed into the semi-finals. Shylin getting picked off though, that is a good way to open it out.
Right, so that's, this is kind of, you got 3 DPSs versus only 1 now. Transcendent, gonna keep the majority of the Honk Attitude members alive. Tech Visor.
Gets a good set of closeouts, but AHQ have answered back with some frags. They've lost most of the DPS. Lazy Titan is still in it though, and he could spin it. Yeah, he could spin it around if he wants to. There he goes. Commits on the Tactical Visor as they're going for the recommit with Erican, but a Hong Kong Attitude, they just scattered to the 4 winds. There's no targets to be in his sights, and now they look to pressure him out again. This is going to force out the sound barrier from AHQ if they really want to stay in this one. And Lazy Titan, he's going to go down for it anyway because Hong Kong Attitude had their own sound barrier. They're still actually converting good kills through. They're all very low though. A Ting will have to ult. Jin Kao may want to commit his ult as well. Indeed, he does, and this could just keep them more time on it. They even get Cowman for it. Why not? And they're going to get a ton of time on this point. I don't even think AHQ could even get the cap through now.
Yeah, they're probably not going to be able to. That Primal Rage did a lot of work coming up from a Ting, so percentage-wise, Hong Kong Attitude, this is just looking like a repeat of some of the other Lijiang maps we've seen so far from them already. And AHQ constantly on the back foot. We're barely seeing AHQ in an actual place with actually ahead. They have to keep trying to fight back from being behind, and it's really affecting them. 3-1 if Hong Kong Attitude get this would be a pretty good scoreline.
They
still
did bleed out all of Hong Kong Attitude's ultimates now. There's going to be the Pulse Bomb out against Lazy Titan. That is a big convert. Kerry's has already used up the Transcendence. Dizzy gets nothing with his Pulse Bomb, and now Shylin back on the aggressive does get traded off, but AHQ, they're on the verge of being shut out here as Hong Kong Attitude recommit with their own Transcendence. They close out the kills, and the last one is a 100-0 shutout. Hong Kong Attitude, they turn it all the way back around, and they are going to take away control for the first time.
And they're the kind of team that just gets better and better as you go along. Let's consider something. This is not even their first map of the day. This is their 6th map now, so if you need a bit of time to warm up, you're so warm, especially after a best of 5 that went all the way against Machi, and we're not even going to see that massive boot play from Crappy, so I'm super disappointed.
Yeah, but I mean, this is an equally solid play out of Cowman, to be fair. Maybe if you're Hong Kong Attitude, you want to kind of play this one out, take a win, and then go like, all right, let's rematch Flash Wolves. We're feeling good. We're on the up and up. If they are a team that seems to ramp up like that, then hey, maybe that's what
actually, you would probably scrim them because you're at the stage now where Flash Wolves don't have to actually play Hong Kong Attitude again. And if Hong Kong Attitude are as good as they are, they're the next best team in the OPC to scrim outside of the actual top 3, because you don't want to give that practice to H. You don't want to give that practice to Blank. Oh, well, you'll take the practice against Hong Kong Attitude because they're not threatening you anymore. So why not?
And I'll tell you what, Blank and AHQ will also want to scrim them too. And the funny thing is, that means Hong Kong Attitude get a ton of great scrims against top 3 teams. It actually helps their strength as well.
Oh, well, what's really helping them is that 1-0 lead against AHQ, where they didn't get this before. I did actually also mention that AHQ, I think, are not a very good control team. Definitely not one of the best out there. And again, the reasons for that being not a fantastic trace on the side, a good trace and not a fantastic one. And then on top of that, the triple DPS they're running, kind of volatile there. Soldier doesn't really work out, K4 barely made it work, and then, Lazy Titan without the extra protection from D.Va, he just dies. The man just dies. It's really unfortunate to look at. So now we're going to go into something like, we're going to hybrid, assault, escort, and whatnot have you. That's when I think AHQ get into their groove a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. Now we're going into Hong Kong Attitude's pick as well, just by the way. So there was actually Hong Kong Attitude turning around on AHQ's pick. That's quite significant. That is one they had lost, first of all, to Machi earlier tonight, and previously against AHQ. So that is already a good turnaround to kick things off. There's something interesting in there, though, just by the way, because when they are running the 2-2-2, when they tend to have Dizzy on the Soldier, they do have the D.Va protection. We've actually seen that since be shut down, especially on control. That is, again, something they still struggle with even when they're not running DPS, because you can just kind of play dive the Dizzy. And if you can get past the D.Va, which is totally possible, they start to kind of fall apart a little bit. So I don't blame them for doing triple DPS in a sense, in that if a team still goes for dive the Dizzy or maybe dive the Lazy Titan, you can still kind of go off. And sometimes that sort of did happen. I feel like they're trying to mitigate that weakness, but it's not properly mitigating.
I feel like their best shot at really competing with, I guess, Flash Wolves and Still Blank as well is you run Dizzy on his best pick, which is the Soldier. And I still believe, the guy is just still
he's so
one of the best soldiers. The problem is he's dying a little bit too much right now, whether that's his fault or not, but when he's on, he's totally on because his aim is superb. And then you run Cowman on Tracer, and Cowman needs to just get better in Tracer. You're trying to force Dizzy onto Tracer, which is okay, but then Lazy Titan plays a Soldier, and then you have to play the triple tank. So you have to play the triple DPS, because otherwise you have to put Cowman on the flex, and is he going to play D.Va? And if he does, is he going to play D.Va better than Lazy Titan?
Exactly.
I'm thinking no. So put Lazy Titan back on D.Va, which is his best pick anyway.
And put Dizzy back on Soldier, which is his best pick anyway. You're right, and I feel like they're kind of being hurt right now by the fact that Cowman just doesn't seem to be able to play Tracer as comfortably as a lot of other Tracers. They're trying to do other things instead.
Not even Dizzy can. So if that's your result, then why not put two of your other players on their best picks rather than not have them on their best picks, and then put Cowman as your sole player who maybe is not on his best pick, but right now you're putting three players that are not on their best picks across the board.
Tracer is so important right now in this meta, but if you've got no one that can play her to the level of Bacon Jack, or to be honest right now, to the level of Shaolin, heck, even to the level of Kant, who had, I feel, a better performance just previously than what Dizzy had just now. If you don't have a player that can do that on the Tracer, go with your next best option, which, like you said, play the greatest hits of AHQ, get Dizzy back on Soldier, get Lazy Titan back on D.Va, and put Cowman on the Tracer anyway. Or maybe forego a Tracer altogether, get Spicy, play Genji, who knows?
I mean, Cowman's doing decently on Genji, and look, you could even, if you have to, play Genji Soldier. It's not like that's about as weird. That's weird because teams don't do that. But if that's what you got to do,
it's only weird because teams don't not have a Tracer right now.
Exactly, and I think it's more like you want Cowman to be a better Tracer versus like, oh, you might as well put Dizzy on Tracer for some reason.
Yeah.
Just get Cowman to be better on Tracer, and I think that fixes your problems a lot better and actually utilizes your strengths on the team, which is really in Dizzy. And this is the guy that really got you those victories against Flash Wolves and against Blank earlier on. So it's going to be Numbani. This is Honkai Attitude saying, look, we've already taken down Blank on this. We're going to take you down on this as well.
And AHQ took down Blank on this too, and then lost it against Blank not too long ago. So this is, look, it's anyone's guess where this goes. I mean, for a while we kind of had this ongoing story of like, who does Numbani belong to? It was Blank's map, and then AHQ took it from them, and then Flash Wolves took it from them, and it's just like it's swapped hands so many times. Exactly, it's now no man's land. It belongs, But like you're right, it's now swapped hands so many times. It's no one's map in particular, and it feels like any of these teams in the top 4 could win or lose Numbani depending on how they are. And tonight,
swapped hands many times. Sounds like my mum's property portfolio, but there it is, right there.
Right here, right now. That's not where I expected that sentence to go. Right here, right now, I will say Hong Kong Attitude are the favorite team on Numbani tonight.
I would say Hong Kong Attitude in just general because they've beaten all the other good competition outside of Flash Wolves. So they are just favored. They just beat Blank, who beat AHQ on this. So there it is. By process of elimination, you have it.
Yeah. As it happens, the top 3 probably are getting sick of their Hong Kong Attitude.
You really wish Hong Kong Attitude just really had the surgeons a little bit earlier on because they could
had
really
like a
be
5th round robin.
And as much as I joked about, like if you restarted the tournament now, it would be super competitive. If you had a 5th round robin, that would be an even more competitive.
Tell you what restarts the tournament. Season 2, boys.
Exactly.
You actually do. You get the
real.
same tournament again, with the only difference being potentially new teams maybe in the mix through relegations. And there's actually the very real possibility that those new teams, the fresh blood, are equally competitive, so it could be an even tighter, even more exciting tournament.
That's kind of exactly what you want out of a tournament. That sounds like the best.
That would be beautiful.
It's like having 8 Flash Wolves in your tournament. It just sounds like the best.
A lot of Flash Wolves. The Wolf Pack is back.
It's the real Wolf Pack.
It's the whole pack of Flash Wolves. Oh man.
Oh well. Tell you what, Flash Wolves are definitely sitting pretty at the top end. They'll be watching these kind of games with kind of, I guess, a lot of interest because, the fact that Hong Kong Attitude is sort of at this level now, it still says a lot when Flash Wolves 3-0'd them.
Yes.
The fact that we're in the last round robin and Flash Wolves are the only team that are just unaffected by the current win streak of Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, that is quite a fair thing to say. And the other thing that's interesting in there, the team that has so far come closest to really challenging Flash Wolves in these last 2 round robins has been Blank. they still got 3-0'd by Flash Wolves, and then they've also been beaten by Hong Kong Attitude. Look, there are just so many question marks here, but the one thing that does seem to be for certain, Flash Wolves are currently the best team. That has yet to change, and it won't get challenged until the grand finals themselves. So they are really
They're not even, you're right, they're not even playing semis.
They're sitting pretty while the peasants fight. That's what's happening.
That's an image. That's an image.
They're
It's
pitting
a
the
naked fight.
populace against one another. It is a naked fight. All the peasants are naked and fighting.
That is a cruel king.
My king, the peasants are fighting naked in the streets. Good.
Real sadist, I gotta
Or
say.
it's even worse. It's like the peasants are fighting in the street, and he's like, "Good, take their clothes." Wow. Nasty.
Okay,
Flash Wolves,
so-
not a benevolent leader.
Okay, so it is triple tank time. Out of the old AHQ, Dizzy on his best hero, Lazy Titan on his best hero. Our miracles, our prayers have been heard.
Yeah. In store now, the greatest hits of AHQ, including such old classics as Dizzy on Soldier.
Including Crappy on
Yeah,
Torbjorn.
Crappy on Torbjorn.
There you go. Kalman getting the first hook of the game. This really sets them up because now it slows down AHQ. Sorry, it slows down Hong Kong Attitude just a little bit, and you got to be threatened by this. You got to now just consider that Kalman is just going to do this to you guys.
Kalman on Roadhog. Who could forget that old chestnut?
This is exactly how AHQ beat Blank that first time that we saw them take it on Numbani against them.
Yeah, as it turns out, when they pull out the old sheet music, they still can play their greatest hits.
Pretty much, man. I'll give that. I'll just nod my head with that.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro.
Kalman again. Look at this.
Wow, that's going to shut this one down already. And Jin Kao losing the mech, feeds a ton of ultimate charge. He's going to try and take a dive, I imagine. They're just struggling to kind of crack this one. They don't really know which way to approach it from.
It is very interesting, and if Kalman can continue getting these picks up, how much time have we lost? We've lost 1 minute, so quarter of your time on attack has just gone down the drain. That is a very okay. Well, there's a dive that we were talking about.
Finally.
But it's so late, they got to wait for him to respawn, so they're losing even more time.
I don't know what to say to that.
A minute 30 gone.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a single attack yet.
The fact that Jin Kao only just dove as well, like, you wonder, like, was he waiting for the mech to come back and then went, no, I'll just dive? Like, that seems oddly delayed.
I actually think it's because he kind of maybe got slept on the side there, or maybe Kalman was playing with the hook there as well. Who knows? It's
Another
lot to sort of
approach.
consider.
Already, this is a little bit of a better start though. They're able to get the dive going, and Kalman hasn't got that miracle hook. Goes wide on Shylin. Now he's actually getting pressured out by Ating. Ating does need to be careful on this one though, because he doesn't have a healer for backup. It's just him and Shylin. Oh, he does. Shylin really playing with fire there, but the hook didn't come through. Now Hong Kong Attitude are looking good. K4 set up on this high ground. They're going to pressure out AHQ. The respawns can start to come through, but they will be quite staggered. The only one who's gone down has been Shylin. K4 could open up with attack.
1v1. Here we go, boys.
That's spicy. Dizzy is trying to stay alive. Does not get the biofield, does not get the health pack. It had not respawned, and that has decided this point now it's going to go over to Hong Kong Attitude.
I was just going to say K4 is going completely unchallenged here, and he actually smelled like K4 sensed, or someone on his team called out that Dizzy was going to come and challenge him. Even this right now, this is token because it doesn't really stop the cap from going through. Even if you kill K4 here, I don't see that this actually stops him from capping it whatsoever. So AHQ kind of diving a bit. They come and switches onto Tracer, and we're actually going to see that double hit scan. Crappy staying on Torbjorn just because he has got the multiple.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give that one up. I mean, I can understand the sentiment there. It's a hard ultimate to throw away, but it's not really a good place to kind of sit the turret down.
It's like when you're like an inanimate object and you just know I have sentimental value.
You just can't let it go. Even
the awkward thing is, even if AHQ win, Crappy's got to just suicide, because is he really going to stay on Torb? I don't know.
That's a little rough for AHQ. Lazy Titan pops before he can get back into the mech, so good position around the side for K4 to find that angle while staying safe. Payload back underway. Crappy dead anyway, despite the Molten Core actually being committed this time around, and that has gone about as bad as it possibly could have gone for AHQ.
And on top of that, Molten Core gives you a lot of HP, which you then feed into ultimates on the other side. Also, that turret gives you a lot of HP feed of ultimates on the other side as well. I don't know. I think the Lucio would have just been better from the start, and just forget the fact you have a Molten Core. It didn't do anything at the end of the day.
Yeah, and now a Hong Kong Attitude is sort of running rampant here. Good aggression by Ating with this nano boost on. They catch Cowman. There we go. Gent Cow doing the work. It's all coming up Hong Kong Attitude, and this is surely going to be the cap coming through. They go for they're streaking. They're going for a naked dash through the streets.
Yep, and AHQ just really flustered by that as well. They're like, let's get out of the way. I don't want to touch this guy.
Just under 4 minutes. And this is after it took them, like, they ran down 2 minutes off Hong Kong Attitude in that first point. AHQ's defense looked almost infallible, and now it's just falling to bits.
Well, infallible until we got the streets, because streets was a total
Or if they're
write-off.
naked, is that infallible?
Total write-off in the streets because, look, Molten Core kept like crappy, nothing done there, no real defense on any point, and we're already onto the third cap.
Oh, Erican's powered up. He's going to get onto Mango, but Mango's got an ult. There's not
He's
even Mango.
more powered
CQB, why not? Now Eting going to pop the ultimate out. Yeah, Erican's going to have to retreat now to try and deal with Eting. That's going to be a good set of closeouts there with Attack Bizer, and they're still running rampant. There's still no contest from AHQ. The payload was even still moving throughout that. They're going to get this towards the end. AHQ will get a full rack of respawns. They can take this as a 6v6, but Hong Kong Attitude are already set up to close it off. A single kill, even though they don't have ultimates, a single kill will close this out. Oh boy!
Alright, they do get the trace. So both traces gone, and what actually AHQ got here is they can stall it out. Erican has the primal rage.
Oh,
there will be
great
a full
sleep.
wave of respawns, or a full wave of respawns means maybe AHQ can just overpower and collapse onto HKA.
That was a great sleep, but also a good response by Jin Kao to keep him alive. K4 with this nano boost is going to try and keep this one going, but Lazy Titan, true to form, when it counts, gets the self-destruct kills through, and this will flag a retreat, I believe, for Hong Kong Attitude. Indeed it will, but my goodness gracious, that payload is close, and there's still 2.5 minutes on the clock.
When you have that primal rage available on this defensive side for Erican, you got to play like against 11 players, because even if you kill the other 5 members, you always guarantee that full wave of respawns, and I just don't think Hong Kong Attitude had enough tools to actually beat 11 members. They absolutely did not. They use a lot just to get the cart around the last bend into a winnable position, but now they actually have to have something else to be able to cap it on through. AHQ, for one of the few times in the game, looked like they actually set in control in this defense, stabilized.
Cowman a little wide on that pulse bomb though, and Lazy Titan getting aggressed upon. K4, he's just playing the ground game. He's happy with that one. Has the visor to commit the nano boost as well. K4 has his own, so they do need to be careful with this. We've seen this happen before. Hong Kong Attitude did exactly this with Mango Jai as well. There's the commit. Keres has put his boost onto Erican, who is busy getting deep in the back line, but he's not finding much for it. They had to use the sound barrier as well. Meanwhile, K4 put a ton of pressure on the back line, but the trade back is there for Dizzy. All they've got is Keres, and K4 and Hong Kong Attitude may just have to retreat here.
I think they're going to have to. They're not getting nearly enough kills, and AHQ are able to just even up the trades, and this is kind of like a salt second point. Even trades are not good enough for Hong Kong Attitude. They need more than this. In fact, timer is just... it's not in favor for Hong Kong Attitude at all. So diving here is good because they want to get an early reset. They want to be at the reset to find and get a good one in there with 1 minute remaining. But the stall tools are available. Erican on Primal Rage as well. If he doesn't waste it, if he can just use it properly to guarantee a full wave of respawns, I mean, we're going to be in the same situation where AHQ just play with 11 members.
Even for ultimates there, the Pulse Bomb does connect, but they don't close out the kill on Erican. He's able to get back and top off his health.
Connects.
Meanwhile, Cowman does connect. And by the way, Mango committed his nano boost when the fight was already lost in the previous fight onto Eting. So now AHQ able to win that fight off that one pulse bomb means that they are back with the ultimate economy in their favor.
All right, it turns out the 2 minutes that AHQ bought is really paying off, because this could have been an extra 2 minutes in Hong Kong Attitude's time back, but they're not going to get that. Under 30 seconds, final push. 2 ults, probably not enough ults, still going to get past a full Primal Raging Winston.
2 and 2, and K4 is in trouble. He has not got the bio field down. Oh, barely gets topped off, but Mango has to pay for it with his life. K4 is going to have to get a lot of work done. He's going to have to get even more now done as Xiaoling gets pressured out. He is down and out for the count. The time is running out. Hong Kong Attitude are lacking in the members. They have not got any trade kills. And oh, look at that. And Eting is busy napping by the point. How slack by him. They barely get the contest through thanks to Jin Kao, who will commit the self-destruct. That's a funky pulse bomb. Catches the pilot. That is actually quite a smart call as they all steer clear of the self-destruct. Hong Kong Attitude.
K4.
Yeah, totally shut down with people not in his sights. Great distance on the cart for Hong Kong Attitude, but not getting it over the line is a little bit rough. They did, however, beat Blank in this exact scenario.
They did, except the scenario was a little bit better because they actually pushed the cart further. Or actually, was it Hong Kong? Was it Blank that attacked first? No, Blank defended first, surely. I can't even remember.
Well,
I'm not even going to consider. Whatever it was, the cart was super far along.
No, just to remember, because actually it counts the maximum distance. So even though the cart finished further back than the maximum distance they got, the max distance was like, I think about 4 meters away from the cap. So it is as close to a cap as you'll get without capping.
Pretty much.
So it is actually about the same as they got versus Blank.
It's a little bit further, but you know, it's very minor details. It is essentially the same game all over again. I got to consider that AHQ still had a fairly decent defense. First cap was rather clean up until Hong Kong Attitude just got that foothold on the high ground, and then Streets was a bit of a write-off, and then third cap, AHQ really dug deep in, and that's when you saw them really bring out that full defense. And you got to consider, what if AHQ just had a better Streets phase? What if they didn't hold on to the Molten Core? What if they actually had a better contest where they just didn't all randomly kind of get killed in there? I mean, AHQ should have maybe held that a little bit sooner, because I do consider AHQ to be a super good defense team.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like you said, Streets phase was a bit of a write-off, and that is actually Hong Kong Attitude's strength. But you're right, then on that final point, we suddenly got a glimpse of AHQ's strength when they are able to dig their heels in, and unlike Matchy, made it count.
And it's even AHQ that their biggest strength is actually on the first cap, and that 2 minutes, while we sort of said, like, Hong Kong Attitude made up for it in the Streets phase, and while they did, that 2 minutes, had they had that extra in that, on the time going to third, well, that could have still been a very different last attack for them.
Yeah, you're quite right. Frankly, both teams had their strengths shine throughout that, and now both teams on their less comfortable half in a way, so this is what it's going to come down to, and
Ooh,
that's
nice dodge.
quite an interesting situation. Yeah, nice dodge indeed.
This is AHQ still playing this composition that I really like, so I've always considered, you know, this is exactly what AHQ need to be playing to actually win, and they may be showing themselves a little bit early before we get into playoffs, but they also know they need to win this game.
Yeah, Cowman realizes he's a little too deep there. Mango Jai is going to have to use the bio grenade. Great
Wow,
sleep.
okay.
But AHQ are busy routing them through. Hong Kong Attitude are able to convert some kills just with that few seconds bought by sleeping out Cowman. That was really, really clutch there, because AHQ was set to absolutely pincer in Hong Kong Attitude. They hold on for now.
Such a good setup, and you're sort of sitting there, Cowman's just waiting. What is he waiting for? Suddenly Eric Ken shows up with Laser Tunnel. You're like, cool, that's the commit. Now we go in, now we get the kills, except wow, the sleep just really put a stop onto that one. However, got a mech, got a turret, it's go time again for AHQ.
Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude didn't properly reset after that, and they lost Jin Kao's mech, lost CQB's turret. They don't have the Molten Core up. They have to commit something to this one, or the point's just going to get given over here. AHQ are closing out the kills. That was terrible for Hong Kong Attitude. After winning the fight, they didn't reset.
Speaking of reset, they're still not able to reset. You got a lost mech. A Cheng's probably going to die as well. So, I mean, you want to reset. It's just not going to happen on Streets. It's not going to happen until the very end of Streets. And we may see a repeat of what Hong Kong Attitude did against AHQ on Streets, which is completely running off. Look at K4 dying super late. Wow, where are you going to die? Where are you going to reset and actually get your defense now?
And the difference is Hong Kong Attitude did not waste 2 minutes of AHQ's time on the first point, like what AHQ did to them. If this Streets phase is a write-off, this is going to be a disaster for Hong Kong Attitude.
This is like when you ride off your car and the other guy's car that you crashed into.
Yeah.
That's twice as bad.
Just, yeah, and like, you know your insurance cannot cover that, eh? You are screwed.
Your poor third party doesn't
early
do
open
anything.
out, but Cowman getting a catch onto Mango Jai. Dizzy now open up on the back line. This is a good bit of aggression here out of a Ting, but he's not getting anything in return. The trade kills aren't actually coming up for Hong Kong Attitude, and they did actually have some ultimates to commit. By not committing them, they have ensured that the Streets phase is a write-off. This cap will go through on the second
That
point
is so quick. I mean, Numbani Town, AHQ, like, you're just here to visit, man. We grew up here. This is absolutely
Straight out of
nothing.
Numbani. Oh, and now K4 as well. They're going to get a ton of distance early in this one now.
Absolutely. So, Hong Kong Attitude, past the first cap, have not looked like they've got any stabilized defense, and this is usually where you expect to be able to stabilize. Okay, so one kill. This is like Hong Kong Attitude's first kill in quite a while.
Baby's first kill. We're going to see how they go now, because they do have a window to go on the aggressive if they want, and I really think they should.
And this is the lineup I'm talking about. We laugh, but I said Soldier Genji maybe is the way to go. I said that for AHQ, but actually Hong Kong Attitude are the ones doing that.
Yeah, and it is working out for them. Good self-destruct onto the back line as they open up. Shaolin getting the work done. He may lose his life for it, but they already took out the key members here, and they gave K4 the space to start cleaning up. They didn't get the complete shutdown, and they did have to commit 2 ults for it, but that is the beginning of a stabilization.
It is, and this is exactly where most teams are able to do it. Like, based on respawns is the biggest factor for that. So, you know, defense is always fantastic on the third cap, and if you can't get this nailed down on the third cap, you've got a real problem. So, Hong Kong Attitude, the biggest issue here is the time. 4 minutes is a decent amount to have to defend with, and AHQ, they bought themselves so much more time to play with than Hong Kong Attitude had, and the big difference was that first cap.
They do have the ultimates here, the Nano Visor combo to kind of get the ultimate economy running in their favor, and they're going to commit it here. No, they commit the... It's not actually there, Nano Boost. Yeah, Pulse Bomb is already gone. The Tactical Visor just gets nothing. Mango still held onto the Nano Boost. He wants to commit it onto a Ting, but a Ting's getting killed anyway.
Shaolin.
They're not putting up any kind of significant resistance as Dizzy is now able to open up with his visor. No one's really there to block it. Jinkao is struggling. They commit the
That's
boost.
a desperation boost.
Onto Jinkao. Why are they doing a desperation boost? They could have committed it onto the visor. They could have held it now for a Ting who has just respawned. They are not putting up a coordinated, consistent resistance.
Oh, Shaolin, please. That was not very good. And AHQ are looking to cap this one on through. The final moments now, not even final moments, it was just like a split second.
No contest.
For Hong Kong Attitude just get in there, and this is absolutely not like Hong Kong Attitude versus Blank. This is something else indeed.
Yeah, we're going to game 4 minimum. And possibly we're going to another game 5, and that actually is where the fatigue will sit in. Like I said, Hong Kong Attitude, not a significant resistance. They were not cool, calm, coordinated. That was panicked. They committed ultimates in weird ways, at weird times, in weird combinations, and it costed them. That is the worst they've played all night. Has the fatigue actually gotten to them?
Or the best that AHQ have played all night, because I'll tell you what about AHQ, I think they've been waiting to bring this out the entire time. We've not seen them play the double hit scan, the golden comp that I've been talking about. I've said so far, it's like, come on, man, you can drop the triple deeps now. You don't have to you don't have to play this other stuff. Just bring out the Dizzy Soldier, bring out the Lazy Titan on the D result.
Play your greatest hits. You've gone to see the Stones. You don't care about the new album. Just play Satisfaction.
But they didn't want to do that, and I actually think I have a theory. It's because, again, these aren't, aside from this match, all the other matches aren't super important for AHQ because they know either they know they're favored or they know, look, we're gonna make playoffs anyway. And before it was like, well, we're just gonna come third. We're accepted. We're gonna come third. Let's kind of do whatever for this. We're just gonna play out through the entire rest of the round robin, play different combinations of stuff, and just get it done. Now it's like, oh, we actually have a shot at second place.
Hong Kong Attitude's upset opened the door for them.
Actually, and now suddenly AHQ are like, well, if you're gonna open that door, let us step right through that door. Hong Kong Attitude, see ya, get out of my way. And this is kind of what's happening. So even Lijiang was a bit of an experimentation for AHQ, saying, can we get away with this? Can we just win with triple DPS? And if we can do that, let's just run it throughout the whole night and maybe we'll win. But if they force our hand, here you go. Dizzy's back on Soldier. Have fun with that.
Now, I think you are quite right. It is actually the best that triple DPS has ever looked, but it still wasn't good enough.
Not as good as that. Not as good as that.
Absolutely not. And that's the thing, right? So what's the point? Play your greatest hits, please the crowd, take the win, secure the second place seed.
They'll be on their way to that as well. I think they're definitely on their way after that. I think they've been hiding a little bit of strength, and now they're showing it. Now they're like, okay, actually this match...
They've been wearing a really baggy t-shirt so that you can't tell if it's fat or muscle. And then suddenly they just flex and rips off. They just absolutely built, like totally jacked.
Oh man, so yeah, AHQ, this is them showing a little bit of the true strength, which I kind of like. And the true strength does look kind of scary because this is a Hong Kong Attitude that maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's not. I would like to believe that they're actually pretty warmed up because Hong Kong Attitude look like a team that they always start slow. They lose the first map, they make mistakes early, and then later on as you get there, like they get better and better as you go. So now at the stage where they should still be playing at peak.
And I mean, they said themselves, they practice long series, right? They've actually practiced to be good at dealing with fatigue. I would actually be quite disappointed if it was only on the 7th game that fatigue started to hit them. Like,
yeah, what if you played a best of 7?
Yeah, exactly. What if you had made it to the semifinals where you've got a best of 3 of best of 7s? And that is what they would have practiced for. So I don't think that this is Hong Kong Attitude's fatigue. Look, maybe it is like in the slightest kind of way, but I could see them at least shaking it off now. I don't think it's going to get under their skin the way it might do for some teams. But if it does, that bodes really, really poorly for Hong Kong Attitude.
I don't think teams should be getting fatigued here because, you know, I even know at more amateur level teams scrim 3-hour blocks in a row without taking a single break. So, I mean, if you can do that, you can do this.
And
that's like 3 back-to-back best of 5s.
Well, the whole tournament has been teams having back-to-back best of 5s. Like, that's just the structure of the tournament. Most of the time, if you play a series, you play a second series that night. It is the minimum of times that isn't the case. So look, you need to be prepared to go to a double best of 5, and these teams are prepared to do that.
And actually, AHQ would like it to end before a best of 5. So
they would.
This is them showing out, pulling out their guns, and What's really interesting is that in Taiwan they have a special name for this composition. I like to call it the golden comp, which is the double hit scan. In Taiwan they call it long gun and short gun. So long gun is a soldier,
like
short
that.
gun is a tracer. And they specifically call it the long gun, short gun strat, and that's kind of clever. And it is the single
So what you're saying is
composition.
Dizzy's gun is longer than Cowman's?
It might just be, but when he pulls out the sword though, that's when it gets, you know.
Wow. That's the
Can't compete with that
longest gun of all.
Pretty much.
So we're talking about like what if you had a tactical visor that shoots Genji swords like that? That would be long gun.
All right, so that's the kind of strat. So I've been waiting for AHQ to pull that one up because I know AHQ have it in the bag and I know they can pull something like it out. So this is getting excited now because Hong Kong Attitude, a great team, AHQ now. This is their final form, maybe. We'll have to see exactly what it looks like in maps 3 and 4, which will be coming up. It's going to be Assault next, and then Escort following that. We'll find out what it is right after this break. All right, thank you for sticking up with us throughout that break. So we're about to head into map 3 of AHQ Esports versus Hong Kong Attitude. 1-for-1 the scoreline so far. Great start by Hong Kong Attitude. Great
delivered.
Return by AHQ, and now we're going to get into Hanamura, which is the third map of the series.
Yeah. Oh man, this is just so intense. I mean, it already is so far. It's already delivered in a way, and look, we're guaranteed to go to a game 4. We may even go to another game 5, and I still can't call it either way. Sure, we can say Controller's AHQ's weakest map, and look, Numbani looks really good for them, but it's still anyone's game, man. Like, Hong Kong Attitude did actually lose Hybrid to Machi just before. They turned it back around on Assault. Heck, Assault went to Golden Point. Maybe that's got to be the game plan. Maybe because AHQ aren't as favored on Control, you try and take it to Golden Point, who knows. But look, Assault is always a place Hong Kong Attitude can kind of flip this one back around. They have done it before.
And flipping it back around would kind of, you know, that'd be very interesting. It'd be everyone just
trade
kind of,
away maps.
Exactly, because you're winning on the other team's map pick, which is always an interesting thing to consider. You would usually be favored on your own map pick. So
you'd like to
here we
think
go,
so.
AHQ now. They're of course the home side, so they got Hanamura as their pick, and I kind of favor on Assault, especially if it's going to be Hanamura, where we're going to not really see Sombra, which is a bit of a it's a bit of a Hong Kong Attitude specialty.
Yeah,
you're not going to see
exactly.
the Sombra. I kind of favor AHQ in the Assault in that case.
That's why I'm glad that they didn't go to Volskaya. And also Volskaya is exactly what they lost to Hong Kong Attitude in the past. I think they lost it to Detonator Gold before, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the thing, right?
You are not.
Thank you. But that's the thing, you're not going to take Hong Kong Attitude there. The Sombra is too good. You also know Mango Jai runs this attack Sombra on Temple. Yeah, let's go to the one place Sombra is a non-factor. Let's also go to the place we absolutely shut out and steamrolled teams like Blank. Let's go to the one place we came closest against Flash Wolves. Let's go to our strongest map. But Hong Kong Attitude aren't a bad team when they can't run Sombra. They are still a fantastic team. And I think this is the closest AHQ actually get to an even playing field. I don't actually think they are out and out favored.
I think it's still going to be a tight series no matter what, and it'd be hard to call who's going to come out on this one. I would still say I would put my money a little bit on AHQ just because I kind of think intelligent map pick for them for the reasons I've already stated.
Yeah.
Also for the fact that defensively, I really rate AHQ defensively, especially when we get to the second cap as well. They just do not let that one go. They do not let teams cap that second point. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's very rare actually the teams cap. Even a third against AHQ, and that is a really strong thing for you, especially when actually the point defense for Hong Kong Attitude on Numbani just now really did kind of crumble at getting it over the line basically. And then also the third point, which is the most similar to the second point of Assault, also kind of crumbled a little bit for Hong Kong Attitude, arguably more so. So that's what they're going to carry into this on their defense.
Yeah, so that's a lot to play with there as well for Hong Kong Attitude. I'd really be interested to see what sort of play style they're going to opt for this one. I would expect a bit of K4 Soldier Shaolin Tracer Special again. It just seems like a lot of teams, why not? But this is also a team that really likes to opt for a bit of Genji Tracer play as well.
Hello.
So why not?
Yeah, right as you say it. I heard you. I heard you from across the sea. CQB scouting Hanzo. That'll be a swap back onto the Torbjorn here, I'm sure. And there we go.
Erican on Reinhardt is always a nice thing to watch as well. He's one of the few tanks on teams that still very much runs a Reinhardt. Every other tank essentially just goes for that. Just goes for Winston players. It's going to be a big change, right?
Yes,
wow,
it is a very quick adaptation. I very much like this. Straight onto a shield comp. They go,
Five people changed.
They go, look, this is not the right comp to break this. Reinhardt, Torbjorn, etc., etc. Let's go for something else. Very quick change up, and already it's starting to work. Look at the charge on Jinkao. They're getting really aggressive. Eric barely able to keep his life through that one, and Hong Kong Attitude are able to get themselves through this first point where they would not have been able to a moment ago.
All right, fellas, we've got a little bit of a game on our hands, and HKA do break up on the top right section. So classic Hanamura styles now. One team gets this high ground side on the right from the attacker's perspective, and the other team gets the other side. So turrets there as well. Bit of a stalemate situation. AHU, you know, time is wasting for Hong Kong Attitude, so it is up to Hong Kong Attitude to do something.
It absolutely is. And the ultimates are just barely there for AHQ because of the swaps. There we go. They commit in with a nano boost onto Erican, who has an Earth Shatter as well. They take out a Ting. And he does indeed. That's a good catch as they take out Jin Kao as well. There was one trade back there onto Cowman, but honestly, it does not matter. That is the ultimates exhausted now for AHQ, though. So Hong Kong Attitude, if they are able to not lose any members here, they will get an opportunity.
Where's the rest of Hong Kong Attitude? Because it actually looked like a couple members were caught out to the back of the defender spawn, so maybe it's a difficult place for them to come back, and their Mango nearly died, and that slip probably kept them alive.
It absolutely did, but even then it might not be enough. They kind of have to go aggressive because of it, and they do get the kill onto Eric, and they're starting to convert these ones through, but someone will have to contest Dizzy eventually. They're trying to get into the back line of this with Cowman, which actually means Hong Kong Attitude have to turn around and try and address him. They're struggling to deal with Dizzy still. K4 is the only one to really do it here.
Used.
Yeah, this is really, really troublesome. They actually take out Crappy despite that. There we go. Now K4 can start to get aggressive.
Actually, multi-core just ended, and that's when K4 got the kill. And another great sleep. I mean, these sleeps are really opening up the plays. Icarus should actually go down here.
Oh, Shaolin, he's actually having a hard time. It does finally close it out, but that took them quite a while. They should be able to convert these last few kills onto AHQ as well. Surely, Erican may have just been able to get out of this, but Lazy Titan, no, Erican doesn't even get out either. Lazy Titan loses the mech, so they're just going to leave him off to the side. No rush on that. Get the cap through, and yeah, Lazy Titan. Actually, Shaolin killed him. I think they could have just forced Lazy Titan to take the dive there.
I think that entire attack for Hong Kong Attitude success came down to the fact that sleeped out from Manga Giant to Erican, and then a Ting was able to charge Erican backwards towards his own team, gets the pin kill anyway, and then suddenly AHU just fell apart after that. Another sleep onto, I believe it was Carries. I mean, that gave Shaolin the eventual kill, and just kill after kill after kill after kill really opened up that play.
Speaking of kill after kill, I was going to say, can you say snowball? Because Hong Kong Attitude had the ultimates in the pocket, but AHQ buy themselves a ton of time with that pick. And if they can get a follow-up one with this pulse bomb now from Cowman, then they're actually well poised.
Absolutely, and positioning as well. It does give AHQ a lot more time to sort of position well, as it kind of cuts off HK a little bit as they wait for their players to come back in.
Oh, good stick, and it carries back into the team, so Jin Kao does go down for that one. And again now, Hong Kong Attitude, they have to back off. So even though they've had this ultimate advantage, even though AHQ haven't quite closed the gap yet, they are doing everything they can to do so, and have already got a ton of mileage.
They have, but a ton of ultimates on Hong Kong Attitude as well means they're just waiting for the right moment to push in. They're losing a bunch of members earlier on, but there's not going to be that pulse bomb kill again. That's just not going to happen. Maybe they lose a member some other way, but that's what they're kind of trying to avoid here. If they can get the Graviton Surge down, combo with their other ultimates, they got so much to use. It's so good.
Yeah, Graviton needs to not get eaten, though. That is key. Erican forced off this high ground here, and they're going to go for the commit with Shaolin. Erican is trying to contest. They catch Crappy, catch Dizzy. They're doing good to open this one out. They're able to get onto the point. Oh, the sleep in front of the turret. It does mean he gets woken back up. They commit the Graviton off to the corner there to also try and catch the respawns. Molten Core is out, but they're dealing with the turret. Shaolin is going to be able to successfully retreat as they look to take out Erican. Unfortunately, K4 doesn't quite have this high ground. Oh, it loses the 1v1 to Dizzy as Erican kind of comes into the defense. A Ting strikes that one back. They haven't capped a third in all this chaos, though, and that could be what hurts them here. The Molten Core did actually keep AHQ just barely alive and allowed the respawns to come in. Jin Kao now struggling to close out further kills.
The respawns are so important for AHQ. Eventually, they should be able to overpower Hong Kong Attitude because even trades across the board, not even a third cap, this is when Hong Kong Attitude probably have to fall back. If they don't fall back now, they're at risk of losing further members, which splits their team up. The stagger kills will be absolutely devastating. And the biggest problem is not getting the cap.
Yeah. And I think what went wrong there was that darned Graviton. It went only onto Keres and the turret. You're not going to displace the turret there. And Keres was already a dead man anyway. There was Shaolin right in his face with a sound barrier still on him and a nano boost as well.
You're no longer coming in with the big ultimate advantage. You already had that. You kind of squandered it. Now you got to come in with less. And AHQ got a lot to work with. Bam, Pulse Bomb picks up 2.
That is so great. And that was because a team kind of had to turn about to deal with the self-destruct from Lazy Titan, which, true to form, still got kills, still got pressure anyway, because the Pulse Bomb, of course, they got the kills themselves. But in any case, Hong Kong Attitude, they do at least have a few more ultimates.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good pickup. They've actually got an opening now.
They got an opening, but the respawn happens fairly quickly, so they got to be able to make something happen right now. They can't score into any time. They're running out of time too.
They do actually get Crappy off the top of this one. That is a nice one for them. Keres has committed the Osmia. K4 kind of spotsable. Nope, none of that. They're struggling to find the angle to commit. K4 hasn't really got any high ground. They're still having to deal with Erican on their backside, who can now ult and force K4 into an even more awkward position. They're still struggling to stay in this one to find their way onto the point.
Bad.
It is terrible, and they're not getting kills. They're just barely staying in this. They're having to put so many resources into not dying and not getting pincered in. And another great sleep onto Xiaolin with that nano boost on him again. Yeah, he's not able to commit the blade onto that one as well, and may even lose his life here. Trying to regroup, will just barely be able to do so. But Hong Kong Attitude's positioning is still troublesome. They are not in a favorable position to fight.
Absolutely, they're just going to get picked out over there. They're just hiding under that little bridge area, under the low ground. That's not how you want to operate. You got to be on the high ground. Mangrojai doesn't even get the opportunity to get a suicide, so everything kind of going wrong for Hong Kong Attitude. I mean, what was a kind of weird kind of engaged by AHQ. You see the nano boost onto Eric on the side. You're like, okay, what's going on there? It noped out K4 and actually stuck them into that ground, that low ground section below the bridge. And that's actually where AHQ were able to fight so effectively. They pincer them into the worst possible positioning, and then they pounced.
This is intense. Now, Hong Kong Attitude do actually have some resources again in their pocket, but yeah, not enough. AHQ have more. It's going to come down to who can secure more kills. Lazy Titan, great position. K4 is on the wrong side of that shield, so they already get that one. Hong Kong Attitude must retreat now, and they get a little bit of time to get in the final attack in, but this is now also their last chance.
Absolutely, they're playing into a Molten Core as well, so the stall tools are there, even if they can get some trades. As long as the stalling is available, they got to play against 11 members. At least they got 5 ultimates, so if we're talking about ultimate advantage, this is their best shot.
And K4 is already getting pressured here. He can't own this high ground. Cowman is wreaking havoc on the back line. Hong Kong Attitude, they have to press the go button. They're going to open it up with Xiaolin. He's trying to get onto Dizzy, but who's onto who here? Because Dizzy's onto Xiaolin, and no one comes out the better for it. Dizzy just barely able to catch the kill there as, oh wow, no one was even on the point. That was a brutal way to lose it. Hong Kong Attitude failing to press the go button, but that is the kind of defense we expect out of AHQ.
Yep. You don't simply cap 2 against AHQ. They didn't even have to really get the Molten Core in there. I think Crappy just decided to use it at the end after the match finished. It's just like, well, I had this in the bag and you weren't going to get past it no matter what. Yeah. So, also, one question
It's like in Hearthstone when you have lethal, like in a lot of different ways, so you play them each first just to show how many ways you could have beat them. Like, look, even if you got past all that, still in a Molten Core, still would have won.
And they had a nice question they got answered there was Nano Visor versus Nano Blade, which is the better ultimate? I definitely think Nano Visor is always going to be the better one. You force
Nano Blade's the better one if you kill the Nano Visor at the start. But that's exactly what Cowman failed to do.
You won't, because you need multiple swings, which get the 50% damage reduction. And the thing is about Nano Visor is you don't miss. It never misses. And because of that, you're forced to deflect so quickly on the Nano Blade, you just lose all your time.
And you've got that biofield down as well. So it's just, it is tricky. Like, there has to actually be a little bit of other damage onto there, you're quite right. The only thing is, though, if it does take out the Nano Visor at the start, that's the thing. The Nano Visor takes longer to kill the Nano Blade than the Nano Blade does to kill the Nano Visor, if the Nano Blade does kill the Nano Visor. And at that point, that's when the Nano Blade... That
sounds like a riddle.
Yeah. If your mother and father have a child, and the child is not your brother or sister, then... Which wins? Nano Blade or Nano Visor? But okay, the point I was actually making is... what it means is after that point, the Nano Blade can actually do more damage to the rest of the team because the Nano Visor will only take out the Nano Blade.
So what I really appreciated out of AHQ was, again, the sort of pincer play on the second cap that really forced Hong Kong Attitude in poor positioning, and AHQ played that situation so well, capitalized on every single member of Hong Kong Attitude, and wasted a bunch of time as well. So just good. This is good scouting, I think. Maybe you can just sort of check for...
No Torbjorn out.
Oh, good!
Yeah, he actually gets a good amount of opening damage, and they convert it through, get a kill into Crappy. They got a lot of damage onto Erican. They're going to try and pile onto this room here to close this one out. Erican is actually really struggling. Oh dear, too deep for Ting. Good hook by Cowman, and suddenly it's going pear-shaped for the defense.
I don't even know if he hooked there. It doesn't look like he did. Just a couple of right clicks will do enough damage. Got to get that nice Roadhog damage in while you can as well, so they should be able to use this opportunity to wrap around the backside. A Ting, look, even Cowman's checking for a Ting's respawns because a good hook here will just end a Ting one more time. Yeah,
they know that he's got to rejoin at some point, and there you go. He's seen him go. I don't know if he can actually really go around the side to catch out a Ting specifically. Egg is going to try to anyway. He'll hook Jinkao instead and actually pop the mech. That is devastating there.
Oh, yeah.
Between him and Dizzy.
And Dizzy cleans that one up. K4 gets cleaned up by carries as well, so it's all going pear-shaped.
Lazy Titan is asleep on the point, but Dizzy's able to open up with this nano boost on him. And yeah, look, this is kind of getting slammed shut on the fingernails of Hong Kong Attitude. Oh, that's actually a potential to turn around there. That was a good catch, but Dizzy's still kind of wreaking havoc. He's still largely unanswered here, even as a Ting is kind of hopping about like Mario. I don't know if they can really catch anything here. AHQ are kind of on this point, and it's up to Hong Kong Attitude to answer back. They catch Lazy Titan. There we go. They finally convert to Dizzy. It looks like they might just be able to hold on here.
They're getting enough kills here, and if they can get Cowman as well, they should be able to fully control this entire point. So Cowman actually swapped off onto the Tracer in the middle of all that, so I kind of didn't really notice it. But there you go. Erican killing Mago Jai does give AHQ a little bit of breathing space to be able to get themselves back in there, but they're still getting traded back. That's really unfortunate.
Getting Erican was big. I mean, catching Keras was already decent, but closing out an Erican as well is big. That's going to stop AHQ from really going in for an attack here.
1/3 cap though, so their next attack should be fairly decent. And this isn't the big test. This is kind of a little bit of a hurdle. It should be for AHQ anyway. I don't expect AHQ to get held up on the first cap. It's really about how much time will they have going to the second cap.
Yeah, and actually already it will be less time than what Hong Kong Attitude had. Hong Kong Attitude's first cap was a little bit faster. Good movement here by Dizzy to try and contest K4 on this high ground. They both have visors to commit. Shaolin's Pulse Bomb goes wide. Cowman does not have his just yet. They have to get onto this point now. AHQ are committing to it. And Hong Kong Attitude, they have to kind of move in for the defense at some point here.
So watch out for the poke damage as well. I don't expect that. Well,
oh, that's a good one. That's actually going to stop off this attack already, and Lazy Titan's going to lose his mech for it. He was looking to get a dive off the edge there, but no such luck, my friend, and Dizzy gets routed out off the backside of that as
Eric
well.
Will die here.
He will.
I don't see him getting out of this at all, and this is a problem because 1 minute remaining. It should not have taken AHQ so long to even just get the 2/3, and they're chipping away at the cap, but chipping away at first, I mean, that's kind of... What's going on there? Cowman changes back onto
it, yeah. Had the Pulse Bomb at the end of that fight, but didn't get an opportunity to use it. It's now changed off. They've still got a good run of ultimates, but they actually have to win this one here now.
They do, and I think getting first held on Hanamura for AHQ would be pretty disastrous. This is not the expected result.
Well, certainly not. This is the early commit actually out of CQB.
That's good for
to
HQ.
Get the early fight. It is good, but the kill comes through onto a Ting as well. There is no response just yet. They're trying to close out Cowman. That's a sound barrier out to try and keep the team alive, but they're losing more members anyway. Jin Kao lost the mech, lost the life, and AHQ are actually on this one. They did get the third through.
And they only need 1/3.
Yeah, they only need 1/3, and actually the respawns are late for Hong Kong Attitude. They're going to barrel to the point, try and get it straight off the bat, and it could all go pear-shaped very, very fast for Hong Kong Attitude as they lose a Ting. He didn't even get a chance to ult. He was hooked up by Cowman.
Dizzy's position
He is on the high ground where K4 failed to be. The Earth Shatter is great, and AHQ, they are stopping Hong Kong Attitude from coming out of the base and contesting. The self-destruct catches Jin Kao's mech, and they just steamroll it from there.
Momentum. Can you spell that one for me? Because holy damn. AHQ wasted no time whatsoever. You see the kind of movement, the last kills they got on the cap, before they even capped, one player capped it out, and a bunch of them were already getting to the second point. By the time they got to the second point, Hong Kong Attitude was still respawning. So catching a Ting as he's walking out of the respawn, I mean, Hong Kong Attitude are just like, wow, dude, you're already here, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Look, to go...
I expected you at 2 p.m. You were so early.
What sort of time do you call this? Man, to go from nearly being first held to immediately winning that fight, getting the snowball, taking the map just like that, that is the power of AHQ when the snowball's rolling. That is why getting that full hold on the defense is so important, because you suddenly have the opportunity to snowball through and just take it like that. And look, yeah, it took them a long time, but because they'd actually played for thirds, they were able to go from point A to point B so quickly. That's why Hong Kong Attitude got caught so by surprise, because they didn't have to sit on the point for the whole time the Hong Kong Attitude were respawning on the defense.
You're actually right. This is something we don't see a lot, because the specific scenario has to be you have 2/3 capped on the first, and then you only need to cap 1/3 on the last cap as well, because you held out fully on your own defense on the second cap. So this was the perfect scenario for AHQ to pull it off, and they did. I don't know if this was an on-purpose setup.
I'm going to go on a limb and say I don't think this was planned.
No,
but
so well executed anyway.
That's the thing. It's
they
so well
played the
executed.
scenario to what it needed to be.
And that's the thing. It's a mark of a good team to have something not go to plan and then execute on something that wasn't the plan. See the opportunity, take it, run with it, win with it, right? Winning with something that wasn't your initial plan is just as good, really. It shows an adaptability.
And I think Hong Kong actually caught their pants down because they never expected that to happen, because they've probably not seen the situation. This is that helps. I guess the fight started a little bit earlier, because this is not a very likely scenario that happens very often, because very specific things need to happen for it to be even a situation to begin with, and AHQ spotted it. Hong Kong Attitude did not. They just weren't ready. They were just like, oh, wow, how did that happen? We were kind of sitting there like, how did that happen so quickly? It was like cap and then cap.
Yeah.
Cap.
It didn't, like, I felt like actually the cap went through before that fight had even finished on that first point. That's the thing. And that's actually Hong Kong Attitude maybe didn't respect the fact that 2/3 were through. And all it was going to take was for one pick to come through. You can't really stall the point at that point because you don't have that margin for error. You can't try and wait for that person to come back through. You have to either commit to the fight or retreat from the fight. And they didn't do either. It cost them. And AHQ capitalized.
Also a mark of a very good Assault team, because I think Assault has always been one of AHQ's better picks across the board. I think it's been one of their more reliable picks, and it's always,
especially on the defense.
Exactly. I was going to mention, and specifically because if they get to defend first, it makes their attack a lot better, because their attack is kind of it's whatever, it's nice, it's nothing special about that. But if they get to defend first and they get a full held out on either of the caps. And I say either of the caps because they're one of the few teams that can actually also hold the first cap on an Assault, which a lot of teams do not do. Then they have a very specific goal to reach on their attack, which makes their attack a lot better, because, again, their attack is not anything special, but their defense is.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And that's also the strength of defending first, right? So, I mean, that's just, you inherently grab that when you've got the home side. And even then, when AHQ have not been home side, excuse me, the defense is still good enough, even when you're defending second. Because, again, you can have a rough attack. You can only cap 1/3 through on the second point or something like that, and feel confident that you'll full hold someone on the second point when you're AHQ. That is actually still something, even when you've got the second defense there. So that really is, I suppose, a testament to the strength of that team on Assault.
And Hong Kong Attitude going to take us back to the map that sort of swung it back in their favor, really set in motion that reverse sweep against Machi Esports. So Dorado.
They beat Blank on it too.
Exactly. So Dorado, why not bring it out one more time? You beat Machi on it, you beat Blank on it, now it's time to beat AHQ on this map as well.
And this is actually also where they beat AHQ in the last series. Now, last time they were at this point 2-1 up. So this is where they can equalize it, but certainly this is one they're favored on. Certainly this is the one where they can take it to a game 5.
I don't expect, you know, we're joking, it was like maybe we'll go to 2 best of 4 best of 5s.
Maybe. Maybe I don't get to bed until 6 in the morning.
There's actually another best of 5 after this. We're just going straight into day 3.
Yeah, just roll on through, no sleep.
Next team's already showed up at the East Stadium, straight into the next day 3. So Dorado, this is, so it is Hong Kong Attitude's pick, maybe expecting a defense first from them.
One thing I kind of want to say here is, unlike Machi, who sort of struggle a little bit to dig in their heels and find the defense, even though that is generally where they're a little bit stronger, AHQ are even stronger at doing that than Machi, and I fully expect them to give Hong Kong Attitude a much harder time here. I expect them to run down the clock a lot more. I don't expect Hong Kong Attitude to be getting as much progress, but Hong Kong Attitude's momentum game is still extremely strong, so maybe they can just shut down AHQ's defense too. It's hard to say.
I want to probably touch wood before I say this, but I'm not expecting a triple DPS coming out from AHQ, which is what Machi ran on their attack against Hong Kong Attitude, and what I think was part of the reason why they took so long under actual attack through against Honk Attitude, who had a decent run on their own attack, but when they were defending against Machi, well, Machi just had a really staggered progress on the actual cart where even trades across the board, couldn't really get too much done there, and I'm expecting AHQ to have a more standard and stable kind of attack approach here, expecting them to attack first, that is.
Is this actually a Bastion?
Well,
I don't think
you never know. You never know what it is
I don't think
until
it
the
will
timer
be, yeah.
actually goes down, because you know.
I mean,
Teams,
how
because
often do we
teams.
see them do this sort of, you know, May Mercy thing right at the top? And they got the May there as well, and then they swap off it. So I don't think this really will be a Bastion. There we go. Back into the spawn to change off. No Omnics, no robots.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose they'll get a Zenyatta.
That's how you fill the Omnic quota. One Omnic allowed.
Token Omnic. Gonna be Reinhardt Diva. Here we go.
Here we go, indeed. Because why not? And actually, somehow, exactly how would be Honko Attitude decide, nope, we are going to be the attacking team because you got a good defense. We'll test that one out to see how good it is on Dorado. Because, look, ASU good static defense, stuff like Kings Row first point, Assault as well. How does their mobile defense look? That's a question.
And the thing is, you only really get two opportunities to set up a static defense. One is in the courtyard, the other is on the third point.
So essentially here and then right at the last point. So everywhere else does get really mobile. If Numbani's anything to talk about, Numbani Streets Phase was that mobile defense and ASU kind of failed that.
K4 kind of flubbed that retreat there, actually wasn't able to get past the pillar, but they had actually forced AHQ back to this courtyard anyway, so no early defense coming out from AHQ, but this is one of the places where you can dig in your heels.
AHQ definitely like to play that style. I should have kind of predicted. As soon as you see the Reinhardt out, you're like, this isn't really Honko Attitude. Only AHQ would really bring out the Reinhardt at this stage. And like I said, not going to play anything weird. No triple DPS coming from there. Double hit scam. This is the formula. AHQ want to close it out 3-1.
Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude want to get very aggressive on this one, though. This is a very classic dive. And they are actually breaking the courtyard here a little bit. Even though they're not getting kills through, they're forcing AHQ back. They're forcing the space out. So now AHQ are going to have to come into a proper fight. That's a good
He's
stick
going back
there.
into space.
Yeah, back to the moon you go. And Dizzy closing out a kill as well means Hong Kong Attitude have to take this retreat on the chin. They got some good payload distance, though. And this is exactly what they were sort of doing against Machi. But they haven't actually broken the defense yet.
Yeah, the payload distance relatively just means they don't have to play in the choking mill, which is good for them and kind of not so great for AHQ. It means they get to open up this entire courtyard space, take the flanks a lot more efficiently. Just know that the card doesn't need that much distance. One good fight when you start to threaten the cap altogether. So that's pretty good for Honko Attitude. Otherwise, they're still kind of behind.
Yeah, the sticky out doesn't quite catch anything, which is a shame. That could have just kind of won the fight out and out. It's going to be a much harder slog now. AHQ have a good run of ultimates on their side as the Earth Shadow is committed and goes wide. The aggression is there. Mango has used the Transcendence and K4 could crack it open with this Dragon Blade. And we're back to Blade versus Boost. That is so huge. It means he closes out carries, but Dizzy once again able to take him out with this visor. Doesn't get much else for it, and Hong Kong Attitude are still getting kills through. They haven't actually got the payload through yet, though, because it has been contested nicely. And Dizzy is still largely uncontested himself. Lazy Titan gets back into the mech. It's good news for AHQ as he is able to keep the contest alive. Hong Kong Attitude, they still need a few more, and AHQ's reinforcements are coming in.
Yeah, it should be. They got ultimates to play with as well. Expecting a self-destruct to come into this one just to buy a little bit more time. Because the tanks are here, I expect the DPSs to be well protected, and they are now.
Shailin's second pulse bomb of the fight goes wide. Jin Kao, he's going to lose his mech here if he's not careful. Ting, on the other hand, is just straight up going to lose his life. And the dragged out fight ends up going back the way of AHQ. They didn't close out on Dizzy quick enough, didn't close out on Lazy Titan quick enough, and they aren't able to get the cap through.
And the biggest turnaround was actually K4. Look, he got the reflecting sleep on the carries. Extremely well played, but Dizzy shuts him down mid-Dragon Blade. His ultimate tactical visor, once again, it's just better than Dragon Blade. I'm so sorry, but there it is. AHU hold on to that
accepted.
I'm glad. You forgive me.
Yeah, I was considering it, but, you know, I'd rather just bury the hatchet and move on. Here we go, though. Hong Kong Attitude, tall order for them. Dizzy about to get this tactical visor. The nano boost is there as well. Earth Shadow soon to follow. They actually don't have many ultimates for this, and this is really their last fight.
I can't believe the time is already down to 30 seconds. I mean, it kind of feels like this just started, but the fights have been just slogging on. There have been a couple fights so far, and it's just really been dragging.
That's a good stick. It forces out the Transcendence, lest Jinkao loses mech. Shailin's stick is better though. Takes out Eric, and that takes out the Earth Shatter as well. The Nano Visor isn't enough. He doesn't get anything with it. Good work by Shailin and Hong Kong Attitude. How many times do we seem to see this where they come in unfavored? They don't have the ultimates there, but they still somehow manage to close it out.
Well, when push comes to shove, we get into the overtime. That's when Hong Kong Attitude just, they don't care anymore. They're going in there, and it's just no brakes on that vehicle as they push on through. And AHQ, what could have been a first cap shutout is now going to be a Streets phase defense, which the question was, how good is their mobile defense? Well, now that gets tested.
Yeah, this is the most mobile point of this Escort map. And they're trying to commit to this low ground, trying to get aggressive, but they haven't converted the kills. That's a great Earth Shatter though onto the two healers, means they get them both. Good trade back to kill Dizzy, but Erican is still kind of uncontested here for now. They haven't really converted any further kills here, Hong Kong Attitude. Without those healers, they kind of lose any backing unless they're able to get those kills early. They didn't, and they do get held.
That's a great start for AHQ because that actually stops the momentum for Hong Kong Attitude. Every single time a team caps, they take with them a little bit of momentum, and it's important for the defensive team to set a statement, to set a stabilization period where they can regroup, get this high ground, and just stop the cart moving and stop the snowball rolling.
Yeah, and now Dizzy's actually nicely set up here. Oh, great catch onto a Ting. Again, just, look, if nothing else, they're burning down the clock. It doesn't even matter if they lose Lazy Titan, and they're not even going to lose Lazy Titan.
Yeah, they're not, they shouldn't do anyway. They've got a couple more ultimates to play with. The Nano's going to be a fairly big one. I expect it to probably go into Dizzy, whether he's got a tactical visor or not. But more ultimates on the Honk Attitude side says that they're going to have a bigger commit.
They really commit hard as well, an early Transcendence. But again, Shailin catches Erican with a Pulse Bomb. That opens up the way to pick Dizzy, and they get the payload back underway. They seem to just be cracking this defense in the exact same way each time they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this time though, Honko Attitude were definitely favored. There are moments where you don't think Honko Attitude are favored, and it suddenly gets into overtime, and then they cap. This time, everything on paper says Honko Attitude should win this fight, and absolutely they do. AHQ now lose a bit of ground. They're going to be forced back to this new courtyard area, so maybe another chance to set up a final stack defense before we get up to third.
K4 big commit, and Jinkao already opens the way for it. K4 doesn't even get any kills out of the Dragon Blade, poor guy, but they're still getting the kills through. Cowman wide on the Pulse Bomb. The recall is there, but he's just kind of back into the thick of it, unfortunately. And Hong Kong Attitude still getting these kills through. They are going to get this cap. It is going to happen in overtime, though, so AHQ have successfully run down the clock as maximally as possible.
Yeah, overtime into another overtime, and it almost feels like Sun Sister and King's Roar all over again. Second win into third win. How many more wins can Hong Kong Attitude afford to get before it's all over?
Well, I'll tell you what, if they were able to close their one on Eric, and there would have been good momentum for them. And again, this is an opportunity for AHQ to find a static defense, but it is similarly an opportunity for Hong Kong Attitude to get huge momentum on the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still able to just push on through here. Any good card distance here is going to be extremely important for them. Getting the early kill onto Crappy as well. One healer down for AHQ, and he had an ultimate.
That's a great trade back for them. They get aggressive onto Dizzy, but they haven't actually closed him down. They're putting up so many resources for this, and now here's the Nano Visor to swing back onto these tanks that have committed so hard onto him. Jinkao's going to lose a mech for it, and AHQ, they do stop the snowball. They do dig in their heels. They do set up the static defense. This is what they wanted.
And make no mistake, this is the hardest point to actually cap out if you're an attacking team. If you've already struggled overtime into another overtime, well, now's your third overtime. So if you've got any more magic, you better show all your cards right now. AHQ, this is now the toughest place to actually get past. And this is a good defense team. So, I mean, if you struggled already, you're going to keep struggling.
The odds economy is in their favor as well, but for heaven's sake, don't count Hong Kong Attitude out. How many times do we seem to say, yeah, they're not favored coming into this?
The situation needs to be, it's overtime and they have no ultimates, and then they just win.
Lazy Titan gets back into the mech in the nick of time. Double Tracer Death there, as that's an open and a half, I suppose. The sound barrier is committed now as K4 goes Hunter Killer. He's got carries. They need to take out Dizzy. They need to take out even more than that. They do. Man. Good catch onto him while he was busy hiding. And now Hong Kong Attitude Overtime is there. Ting is keeping this one alive as K4 is down. Shylin rejoining the fight, but the pulse bomb is wide. They are having to stop these contesters before they can get the payload moving. So HQ, they're going to give themselves every opportunity to close it out, but they need to not trickle onto this payload. That is just as bad. Transcendence now onto the point here.
They're getting way more kills.
They are getting a lot more kills now, and now HQ are going to be staggered as the payload is underway. It may be overtime, but Hong Kong Attitude are poised to catch them as they come out of the base.
They might actually do this because there's only one nano boost. It's not even available just yet. AHQ
No
on
one's
their
on
final legs. Someone's got to get on this
Lazy
cap.
Titan finally gets his mixed up feet onto it. But he's already forced out. It's not even a nano visor, it's just a nano Winston, and Erican is already pressured off to the side by Jin Kao. Shylin closes it out onto Crappy, and Erican, there is only so much he can do, and that something is not a lot at all. Dizzy finds nothing either. The kills are still coming through for Hong Kong Attitude, and so is the cap.
Oh boy, a lot of magic tricks coming out from Hong Kong Attitude. I mean, these guys are street magicians. It's kind of like...
You think their hand is empty and then they pull out like 3 royal flushes from their sleeves?
it's like what is it?
cheating.
What is it like the bandage?
Like when the magician does the napkin thing.
The napkin on the sleeve.
Look at all the... But it's the kill feed. It's the kill... look at all these frags.
It's just
back
because
to back.
I joke because I said, look, the situation needs to be overtime, and Hong Kong Attitude have no ultimates, and then they'll just suddenly win. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. They suddenly win.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. They have a pretty tall ask ahead of them here, actually. They did close out on Matchy, but their cap was a lot faster against Matchy. That is the big difference. They only just barely got it through on each and every one of those points. They did it in overtime on pretty much all of them. I think the second one might have been like a second or two away from going into overtime, but it might as well have been. And their defense isn't actually super strong. I do honestly think AHQ can push this one through to a time bank.
Yeah, well, AHQ are not a super fantastic attacking team. A very good one, but not a mind-blowing one anyway. One thing AHQ do quite well is they're able to ride momentum quite well. They know how to snowball efficiently, and they know how to snowball and how to carry that momentum on as far as possible. Really maximize that.
Oh, there.
I would kill for some taco.
Okay.
Good to know, Winston.
Don't make it too obvious here in Mexico.
That's a really odd thing to say, like, I'm in Mexico, I want taco. Like, you know they don't put peanut butter in tacos, eh? I don't know what you want to get out of that one, Winston.
Anyway, it's going to be now... you know what, Dizzy on Widow isn't... That's something, by the way, that they do that.
They do, yeah. This, by the way, Lazy Titan on this Hanzo, I believe that'll be for scouting. So here we go.
So.
K4, ooh, Cowman. Good deflect on the hook there by K4.
Okay, so I mean, looking for the early commit out of Hong Kong Attitude, and they usually do this part as well. To see how K4 and a Ting should be able to work together.
This triple tank here. This means Mango Jai is actually having to leave himself exposed to keep K4 topped off, but K4 catches Dizzy.
It's an okay time to die, actually, because Dizzy's close enough at spawn, doesn't have any ult charge anyway, so he can change back if he wants, he can stay onto Widow if he wants, gonna go into the Soldier, something a little bit more consistent, and why not?
Hong Kong Attitude's plan here is to run down the clock, but Shylin getting picked out means, much like what happened with Matchy, they should probably now pivot around and try and defend at the courtyard. They've actually failed to do it against Matchy, so we need to see if they can successfully do it here, and it does seem like it's going a little bit better for them. Oh, we're losing Jin Kao's mech though, and now losing Jin Kao himself if they're not careful. The follow-up is there, they catch the kill, and again, the courtyard defense is broken before it's even set up.
Oh wow, and look at this.
Oh boy.
CQB's just caught out, he will go down. I'm talking about momentum for AHQ. This is exactly how they're going to play it. They do lose a member on the side, so Hong Kong Attitude got something to use, but even Shylin gets punished. So this card, I expected to push on all the way through because Hong Kong Attitude, they're going to wait for all of these respawners.
And the respawns are closer for AHQ anyway. Getting that kill onto Cowman doesn't really mean much. Might have meant something if Shylin was still alive. They're just barely able to commit in with a nano blade, and they're going to have to really go hard for it. That's a good way to go. Yeah, the Earth Shadow missed. He got 4 for it. They just kept it alive out of nowhere. Never count Hong Kong Attitude out.
That was pretty extreme. I mean, there's a lot of times now where Dragon Blade, wow, that deflect timing was pretty good as well. That's something else.
Yeah, and that actually means they've kind of caught Cowman off to the side. They know what he's up to, so they send in someone else to kind of force him out of position there.
That was pretty devastating for HQ because I expected them to be able to cap out, and all it took was one good hook from Kalman would have ended Hong Kong Attitude and ended K4 straight away. Now they have to look for another opening. Whole hog, a bunch of ultimates coming online means it'll be super difficult for
Lazy
Honkai
Titan
to actually attack this.
Yeah, that is a very bad start for HQ losing Lazy Titan, and they're really struggling. They do actually catch one through on Shaolin, but they're kind of having to pivot around the side here because they're getting forced in here by Hong Kong Attitude. Yeah, good sleep, but it's not going to get much. Dizzy now. Nano Visor, that's a sleep and a half. My goodness gracious. HQ though still trying to keep the momentum alive even as they lose Dizzy. The respawns do still favor them, but they're struggling to actually close out these kills, and this just runs down the clock.
That's a big problem because AHQ came in with
that's a sleep and a half. How many?
A lot. Does get punished, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Does favor AHQ slightly based on respawn timers and whatnot and distance, but the timer gets run down here, and if AHQ have to go into the overtime to cap out, that's not what they're expecting on an offense.
Okay, oh wow, and another sleep. That actually buys a Ting time to regroup while Erican is still
late at night
joining.
in Dorado.
Yeah, everyone's very tired. But K4 now has an ultimate. They've got the nano boost to commit to it, and they've actually got an advantage here. They could hold this out here now.
And a good Nano Blade would be absolutely killer.
Oh, he nearly got slept there. Nearly. But he's not actually closing out kills anyway. He's trying to get onto the back line. Gets closed out. The trade back is there, though. Onto Dizzy. AHQ. They're about to lose Lazy Titan's mech. That's a little unfortunate for them. And Erican in a world of hurt. He goes down. Hong Kong Attitude. They might just hold it out here. They don't quite convert the last few. But Lazy Titan hasn't died either. And there's only 20 seconds left.
That was actually better play from AHQ because they knew what they needed to get there, which was block out the Nano Blade. Losing Lazy Titan at the end doesn't really help them. We're guaranteed to go into overtime, which is not good for AHQ. This is not the attack they're looking for. And in fact, they're actually threatened to just get fully capped out.
They really are. They need a contest. There it goes. Finally coming through as they commit the nano boost. What can they find now, Cowman? Looking to get a hook. Shaolin a little low. No pulse bomb just yet. Sound barrier is there for HQ. They've got a few more tools. Pulse bomb is out. A Ting is ulting. That's the Transcendence, but it can't save Shaolin. And Cowman is still untouched, still looking for something. Oh, does not quite close Mango Chai, but they're getting the kills through anyway as they catch Jin Kao instead. And there has been no response here for Hong Kong Attitude. And we're seeing the exact exchange from before as Hong Kong Attitude were able to push through at the last minute. Suddenly AHQ can do the same.
And they're getting a lot of kills right at the end. They're starting to look like what we saw in Hanamura, where massive push-up now from AHK. They're a super quick team. So when it really counts, I mean, they move. And if they give this mech as well, big problems for Honkai Attitude on the defense.
Yeah, not quite going to happen. Cowman actually needs to be careful to not go too deep here. He will regroup with the team, but they're not actually going to be able to kill Jin Kao. Oh, no. What was Mango doing? Peeking down?
Wow.
Oh, for goodness sake. You should know. You should have learned. Are you joking? Are you joking? 3 in a row. No, get out of town.
Make it 4, buddy.
This is disgusting, and a whole hog to cap it off. That single-handedly has made a ton of space for AHQ.
Blanca watching and crying because this is how they lost Numbani to exactly one dude. Just Cowman coming in, hook after hook after hook.
But like everyone kept going back into him like, oh, he won't be there now. Like you can hear the guy. He breathes so loud.
I guess. I mean, it's like, if I close my eyes, then he doesn't exist.
Yeah, that was silly. That was frankly silly by Hong Kong Attitude. They kind of shot themselves in the foot there. And now they're going to have to commit in a harder situation. They do start it off good. Catch on Crappy and Karas as well. The Earth Shatter did connect. Dizzy does trade one through, but they're closing out the kills anyway. So Hong Kong Attitude, despite losing a ton of time to what was frankly silliness on their part, are actually going to find a defense here. There is only 1 minute remaining, and once again, they may be able to hold AHQ here.
Wow, this is actually incredible that both teams are looking to go overtime into overtime. At least the card distance is so good for AHQ. This does burn down the timer for them, unfortunately, and it just sort of speaks to them now essentially going to be pushing into the overtime again. In fact, their team is half committed in here, and they're going to decide whether they want to play the 5v6 or not.
Oh, that sleep actually keeps them safe because otherwise that would have been a really good aggressive move by Hong Kong Attitude that could have really hurt them.
I did not agree with the primal race to start with, to be honest.
No, it was very greedy actually, and the sleep punished the greed a lot.
I don't know what he was trying to get out of that. Like, I don't think he would have gotten much. He was going to push back an HQ that were just falling back anyway. K4 dying means go time.
Probably still going to happen in overtime just because of how little time is left, but HQ do actually get the better of this positioning here. Jin Kao in a lot of trouble. Is able to kind of retreat for now. Cowman getting aggressed upon, but he's able to take a breather. They can keep this one going. A Ting is trapped on the wrong side of this fight. What? They stepped off the payload. They stepped off the payload.
Mango Jai
Amateur hour, boys.
Mango Jai can't believe it either.
And they know it. Hong Kong Attitude, they go, look, that was looking rough for us. We got a little bit lucky. AHQ have got to be kicking themselves. We're going to a Game 5 purely because AHQ made a monstrous mistake.
Oh man, I wanted to see Cowman's run through again with their hog play, but you know, whatever. This is good too.
It hasn't been the one we wanted all night, but this was actually amazing.
Sick.
This kept this first point alive for them. This is why it had to go through in overtime.
Oh boy, I joked that we're going to go to map 5 and look, 10 maps in a row for Hong Kong Attitude, by the way. We're talking about being sleepy on Dorado. I mean, if you're sleepy on Dorado, you're... What's going to happen now? Hey, Hollywood.
Daytime.
Why not?
Broad daylight.
You know what? We've seen a best of 5 between these two teams before. The very first round robin, we went to a 5th map between Hong Kong Attitude and
You are
AHQ.
quite right.
And the 5th map was in fact Hollywood, and AHQ won it on Hollywood.
Yeah, and it is going to be AHQ's pick. That is the advantage of being home side. I would not be surprised to see Hollywood. I think Kings Row is too much of an even playing field. Hollywood has a lot of the same beats that Numbani has for you, and Numbani, it was a win for them. It was a very solid win for them. So,
at the same time, Kings Row is so good for AHQ. Like their first cap play is just. So.
And that's what AHQ have to weigh up here: our attack or our defense. And I do think you should play to your strengths. You should play Hollywood, take the defense, because Matchy were able to beat Hong Kong Attitude on Hollywood themselves. So,
actually, if I'm not mistaken, Hong Kong Attitude have actually recently, it was either them or a different team, have recently beaten AHQ on Hollywood, and the strat was, that was the first time in OPC that we actually saw someone break out the Reaper, and I believe it was K4, and I believe it was Hong Kong Attitude, so that's a bit of history between the two teams as well, that they have played this map, not just in that first round robin, but at another stage, and it was a Reaper that broke through that first cap. It was, and then I said K4. He kept it going through the second cap. It's like he's actually spending too long here, and then he played it on the third cap, and it was like now he needs to change. He used it against Blossom, then he changed a little bit too late.
You're completely right, and I think that was actually the series where they upset AHQ.
So,
unless it was in the second round robin, honestly, all the games is done to
so many. It's like we're like 70 or 80 games deep, people. There's been a lot of games.
Unfortunately, my memory is not that photographic. I mean,
we started this in April, people. Like,
it's winter now. It's winter. I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks. I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks right now. I'm wearing socks, and beneath my socks, I've got socks. Just thought you should all know. It is freezing cold. It is freezing cold right now. Oh man! And yes, I have taken my shoes off.
Okay, well. There you go. Everyone knows now. You also didn't have to stick your foot in my face.
I'm sorry about that. The secret's out. As much as I volunteered it.
I think we're going to Kings Row. Truly think we're going to Kings Row because I think AHQ are very good at Kings Row to start things off with, and they don't want to risk something like Hollywood.
Oh, you're right. That really does smell.
Hollywood.
Even I can smell it. I can't imagine how bad it must be for you.
Hollywood is a little bit too risky because of the different.
Let me just put that away.
Okay, well, why don't we just go to Hollywood? Okay, fine, AHQ. You do what you want. You do you.
Yeah, and like I said, this is kind of the way up of like, do we want to take our solid attack or do we want to take our solid defense? And I do actually ultimately agree with Hollywood, just because Matchy were able to hold Hong Kong Attitude on here. I think that's something you can have a bit of confidence in, because you also know your Hollywood is good too. Heck, your Hollywood is better than Matchy's. Why not take that instead of Kings Row?
And the other option would have been what? Icon Wild? So no, you don't do that.
Let's get wild. Let's get Icon Wild.
Icon Wild too.
Yeah.
Icon also Wild.
Icon Wild. Icon Wild 2, the iconing. Icon also Wild. It is so late. But look, Hollywood.
We get in there.
I mean, I don't know what else to really say. I honestly do think AHQ's defense is going to be a tough nut to crack, and I guarantee you AHQ will take defense first here. This is actually a lot of pressure on Hong Kong Attitude, and AHQ did make a big mistake on Dorado. That is why we are here, and I don't think they will make a mistake like that again. They are going to be playing like uber serious right now.
Actually, Machi have already taken this off Hong Kong Attitude. If you're AHQ watching that series, you have a lot of info to sort of go off of. Also, if you're Hong Kong Attitude, you have hopefully learned a lesson against Machi in that particular series for Hollywood. So maybe a good amount of preparation moving into this would be a good idea. And here it is. I'm seeing Hog, I'm seeing Torbjorn, and it has to be AHQ defending.
Yeah. It's
Oh, look at that Korean efficiency again.
so beautiful
So
to
efficient.
watch.
How much do you think people in Hollywood got to pay for the fence repair costs?
I don't know, man. With Hollywood accounting, they probably just treat it as an expense.
Operational expense.
They got to have like 5 fence redundancies for reshoots. Hey, it could be more than that.
I think that's the other thing as well. K4 already knows it. In fact, Shiloh already knows it. They're going to be a bunch of tanks on the AHQ side because that's just what it's just what you know.
Why are they fighting in Hollywood? Of all places, like, Talon just hates movies. I don't know, why Hollywood? I don't get it.
All answers and more. Email Jeff, that'd be a good one.
Jeff, please. Who fights at the movies? Come on.
Hong Kong should have beaten AHQ with this exact line. This is a very heavy, we're just going to kill tanks kind of composition from Hong Kong Attitude. And they guessed correctly. They just guessed tanks from HQ, and HQ are delivering.
They are playing triple tank, and funnily enough, they're playing Dizzy on Tracer. They're not putting him on Soldier. I find this quite
because
interesting.
they're scared of the dive. Because they're thinking if they're diving, Dizzy's not going to be safe. So
Whoa, boy. This is getting spicy. Bodies are flying everywhere, and none of them are dead. Now finally, Cowman drops. That's the opening. That's the go button. K4 getting a ton of pressure on. Someone does need to contest Crappy in all of this, but they are still getting the kills through. They get, there we go. They got Crappy. The only one they get back is a Ting, and K4
wow, that
is
nano was
up.
so quick.
My goodness. Well, I guess when you're topping off 3 whole tanks, where you do get it fast, and this is going to be a cap for Hong Kong Attitude. We will not see a repeat of the Matchy series where they get first held. We will see the Streets phase of Hollywood, and AHQ are on the ropes.
You might have actually been better to run the Soldier there for Dizzy, and I know exactly why AHQ did what they did. They expected dive. They did not expect Hong Kong Attitude to play Tank Buster. Tank Buster was Hong Kong Attitude's choice because they expected triple tank. So one team guessed correctly, the other team guessed incorrect.
Well,
that's really going to cost AHQ, at least for that first cap. So I mean,
yeah, Dizzy was already forced back a little bit as well, so they're having a bit of a hard time. Also, by the way, who do you even hook here if you are Cowman? Like, there aren't many good targets, and it's hard to hit them anyway.
You can still one-shot
Nanobu's committed, but this is a really good...
core committed.
Yeah. The Molten Core as well, that was a really good self-destruct is what I was trying to say, because it stopped that Nano Boost from getting anything. They do get a good kill through, and they are able to convert them here. So good job by HQ to kind of hold on through that, but that was not looking good for a moment there, and Hong Kong Attitude will actually come back into this with a ton of ultimates.
It's actually a commanding defense from AHQ, despite how disastrous that first cap was. That initial defensive play now, straight after the cap, so good from AHQ. This is the kind of defensive team that knows how to set the pacing and the tempo back in their favor after a loss.
But here we go. We're going to have a Nano Blossom coming up in a moment. Shylin opens up with a whole hog, and they get the open onto Erica. This is how they do it here. And look, K4 still just dishing out the damage, man. They're doing so much work here. Good hook. Will close him out, but that's the only trade they really seem to be getting here. The payload is underway, and AHQ are actually a little bit scattered here.
Well, AHQ can just choose to back off. A very successful first initial defense on that on the opening of the car push means they bought themselves a ton of time. So now it's about pulling back a bit, regrouping, forcing that second
that's
play.
great.
Getting an opening means they should be able to get this fight now.
And now that's better than great because they close out a Ting as well, force out Jin Kao's mech, and honestly picking Mango Jai was already a great start because it meant the Nano Blossom combo couldn't get him behind them. It's also stopped the cart from getting around this corner where that Nano Blossom has better angles of attack. So actually AHQ defended at probably the best possible moment there.
Yeah, and the car still doesn't have fantastic distance. Jin Kao still waiting to get back in the mech, so it's kind of a difficult situation. Jin Kao swapped off, so very desperate to get into the mech. Nowhere to suicide, losing a Ting at the top of that next fight as well, so kind of disastrous. Hong Kong Attitude swapping completely off of this Tank Buster lineup despite AHQ still running triple tank. They're going to go for something a little bit more standard, a little bit more traditional, has some dive in it, has some consistent DPS from K4, just to top it off.
Let's see how they can push this one through. Hong Kong Attitude have a bit of a tall ask ahead of them now as they've made these big swaps. They did not get that Nano Blossom. So, Let's see how they choose to play this one. This is still triple tank that they have to get through.
There is a lot of HP.
Oh, that's an Earth Shatter, yeah. And they go big on the follow-up, and they're not quite able to close out the kill on Eric, and they were trying to dive in for it. And that's a very late Transcendence actually out of Crappy. Erican wasn't exactly at risk of losing his life there. That kind of threat moment had already passed, so I think that was one ultimate too many, but they defend and they've run down a ton of time.
Yeah, the Nano was probably even slightly overcommitted because I didn't see that much damage output from Erican anyway. What did he get? 45%. That's actually pretty decent. Hammer down and then to 45% is a pretty good rotation of ult charge. Now they're going to play the pulse bomb. Now they're going to play the whole hog as well. And still Honko Attitude just holding to a few defensive ultimates.
Oh, that's not a good start though. K4 closes that one out and the bomb goes wide. Insult to injury. This is the opening now for Hong Kong Attitude. K4 goes to take the high ground here so they can really hurt these tanks. They're trying to get carries. Great Helix Rocket. The sound barrier out so that Hong Kong Attitude can commit to the fight with a bit of safety. They catch Crappy on the back end. And now the path is clear. Erican, the last to fall for that one. And they're going to get the payload back underway at last.
And just a couple of kills just start to really make AHQ fall apart. Even the whole hog was committed to no avail. So that's going to be a change-up as well. In fact, a big change-up. Erican now going onto the Winston. Cowman going onto the Genji. It's going to be dive versus dive, but one team has Soldier, one team has a Tracer. What's going to happen here for AHQ? It's getting exciting.
And it's so they can contest this high ground, because otherwise, honestly, K4 would stay up here with the nano visor, with the tactical visor uncontested, and that would have been an automatic fight win for Hong Kong Attitude. This is the right call for AHQ, but they had to give up a lot to make it happen. And still Hong Kong Attitude with the pressure on. That's a great sleep.
He was going to Primal Rage.
Yeah, he walks right into carries, and you're right, he was going to Primal Rage. Jinkao tries to keep this one alive for Hong Kong Attitude, but they're not actually converting kills through. They probably should just go into a retreat here, because now the healers are getting aggressed upon by Erican.
If they got to retreat, they got to do it quick, because we're running so far at a time. If they lose any more members, I mean, the trickle will be really bad. The stagger will really cost Hong Kong Attitude one more push. At least the card's close.
Yeah.
They don't have to play too long in overtime if they can.
Oh no, K4, get out of there, man. He actually had to commit the visor in that previous fight as well. Sorry, I say had to. He didn't have to. He did anyway. He's going to try and retake this high ground now.
The man's got his fate in his own hands. He decides what he wants to use, but not a lot to use now, I guess, for either team, realistically.
Aggression by a Ting, and Shailin goes on to the back line to try and match Cowman, who did take out Mango, who got the, nano boost off beforehand. This is going to be a double Primal Rage now, and AHQ are the ones going down. Lazy Titan out of the mech. Cowman, he's trying to get a ton of work done. Shailin, he might just lose his life here, even though he is Blade. It's just the Blade. No Nano. K4 is unanswered, you're right, and AHQ are getting mopped up. That too is true, and Hong Kong Attitude may just push this through. Thank you very much, Dr. Seuss. Erican trying to keep this one alive, but it's not going to happen. The overtime is there, but Hong Kong Attitude, the cap is there too.
Oh, this is a little bit too desperate.
Oh dear,
Cowman's even running out on Soldier. I mean, they just want to delay. They just want to continue the fight onwards. Now, Cowman
not much time.
I think he's going to change off. This is so weird. I mean, Dizzy's one meant to play Soldier. Cowman plays Tracer for anything else, and yeah, it's a problem. AHQ, what's going on?
The payload does take a little while to round that first corner. Luckily, that wastes 20 seconds of Hong Kong Attitude's time if you're an AHQ fan. And they were really on the cusp of getting absolutely torn to shreds there. Now Dizzy and Cowman sort of swap back around. A little bit of an awkward one there, but they have the opportunity. There is not much time. It's an early fight, actually, out of Hong Kong Attitude, early sound barrier. They're going to have to try and get this one going.
Too many ults
that is totally blocked up. Yeah, too many ults too early, you're right. And Dizzy is the high ground, uncontested. Crappy may lose his life, but it doesn't matter. They have successfully repelled this first attack, and time is running out.
And Dizzy says it's all over, Anakin. I have the high ground, and Hong Kong Attitude do have to, in fact, back off. And the reason I say too many ultimates too early is, even if they had won that fight, I mean, you're not even around the first corner yet. You need to actually be able to ration out your ultimate so you have enough to use as you're pushing on through it, then get the full commit right at the end.
Speaking of early ultimates, though, there was a really early nano boost onto Erican, who didn't really get much for it. They close out Lazy Titan. Cowman has actually only just rejoined his team. Terrace goes down on the backside, and they are still getting AHQ down. Erican has committed his ultimate, but he looks like he's going to lose his life anyway. K4 is still doing a lot of work here. Dizzy doesn't have the same high ground anymore. He's not safe. That is a great response. Finally able to push some through as they close K4 as well. And AHQ just barely going to snake this one through. Erican barely kept his life. They do trade back onto Dizzy, but they have to commit stalling ultimates now. They're going to have to commit a self-destruct from Jinkao. They still have to convert kills. Cowman is uncontested. They're about to close this one out.
There's no healers as well, and the respawn timers, I mean, They're just
They're a long
respawning
way
into
away.
the wrong order. This is the final member. Shylin can't do it. No one's going to be able to do it for Honko Attitude.
With a nano boost, and he's busy trying to kill Erican, who's just getting so topped off. The bomb is out, but he doesn't find anyone. No one touches the payload. A good bit of distance on it, though, but Hong Kong Attitude failing to get it past the line. They have to really first hold AHQ, or I see the momentum overwhelming them.
I think AHQ is just so good at playing snowball that you're absolutely right. Every time AHQ cap, they get a ton of mileage. When Honko Attitude cap, AHQ get actually a good time to counter that snowball. When AHQ come in for that initial defense after Honko Attitude cap, they just win. They just smash down straight away and say, no, this is where we make our stand.
And that is honestly what it feels like. We know that that is AHQ's strength. And I'm not surprised to see that happen on that final point. There is a lot of high ground Dizzy can use, and they only had about a minute by the time the door was actually open for the payload to get through. So it was an uphill battle for Hong Kong Attitude. And there were some moments where they actually kind of had the resources to use, but they kind of miscommitted them. And I really don't feel they addressed the DPS well enough.
So the big downfall for AHQ was a disaster of a first camp defense. And usually first cap is their strength, but this time around, like I said, compositionally, they guessed incorrectly. Hong Kong Attitude guessed correctly. Hong Kong Attitude then, I guess, kind of took a little bit of a long time to swap off the Reaper sort of combo with the Hog as well. And once they really had the vertical mobility and decided, look, high ground's where we're going to play, because, by the way, AHQ is still playing triple tank and have no way to play the high ground themselves. That's when they got a lot of momentum, and then AHQ changed themselves a little bit too late. So at the end of the day, I think AHQ did a decent job of really breaking down the time on the streets phase, which then gave them enough time to get that full hold on the third cap as well. But that first cap was a bit of a disaster, and that cost them so much.
Yeah, and a lot of Hong Kong Attitude, quote unquote, guessing right, comes down to them honestly realizing AHQ pull out this triple tank on the defense a lot, and it is exactly what beat them before. So AHQ should, in a way, have known better, have maybe guessed that that would come out, but in any case, works once, works twice, and now Hong Kong Attitude have it all on the defense.
And going to try and make the triple tank work again as well. Cowman can really get a little bit of that magic from Dorado and just kill everybody.
Yeah.
Then things work out pretty good.
Needs to put the magnet back in his hook.
Yeah, you'll be able to hook turrets too with that.
Well, there it is. That's a good one to start it off with. Good grenade out, though, to save Jin Kao on that one. Who going to have to stop up the harass out of Shylin.
Yeah, got to protect Dizzy. That's definitely one of your big win conditions on this team. Misses the second hook, so only very narrowly as well. I'm surprised AHQ haven't looked to take the high ground yet, because that's one way Dizzy gets a lot of mileage.
No one's really getting any kills through, and they are slowly forcing back Hong Kong Attitude. So Hong Kong Attitude are going to have to kind of commit to a fight here before long. Good
hook.
Yeah, that is a good hook, but the boost is still good, and the hook isn't enough to stop it up. So Erican gets closed out, and that is the commit. Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude actually did pick the right moment to commit there. We saw the opposite of that in the past, actually, on that series where it went to Hollywood and that Reaper came out on the attack. The last time these teams met on Hollywood, Hong Kong Attitude miscommitted on the defensive fight. This time, not so much going to happen. They do hold.
What actually happened there, I think, both times, Cowman getting a hook, the reason he's not getting the kills through is really good heals from the supports. Biotic Grenade coming down as well, rapidly healing back up, a tank with the nano boost onto him, and even when we look at who was the other guy, it was Jin Kao as well in the mech as well. So just keeping all these tanks topped up, stopping these picks coming through from Cowman, so good from the Hong Kong.
Now this is the opportunity for AHQ to aggress, but never mind. Shylin shuts that down, playing out of his mind there. It is indeed 2 for 2, and they did knock some ultimates out of the picture here, but Jin Kao has a lot of zoning potential with the self-destruct. Gonna block up Busy as best as he can. The Earth Shatter does not do any work for Erican. Lazy Titan commits his. Let's see what he gets. He doesn't get anything, but Erican does close on Mango Jai. Jin Kao still can commit his.
They need to get K4.
They do. This is currently very, very messy. Carries gets pressured out, has to retreat, commit his Biotic Grenade, and still goes down. So Hong Kong Attitude, they're now going to be able to collapse onto Cowman. That is a very late sound barrier to try and protract this one. And Hong Kong Attitude still have the tools for this as the self-destruct really throws AHQ into disarray. They're just wasting time.
They got way more tools as well, so they've got 4 ultimates left to go. Team forced to Primal Rage, but AHQ got nothing to play with. Whole Hog available, but Cowman is running back up from small. They got to keep Dizzy alive.
Oh, they have to keep Dizzy alive. Yeah, good corner trap, but he is at least able to retreat. They close a ting. That's big, but a good sleep onto K4 as well with that Tacticalizer. They need to close him out here. They've at least forced him off to the side, even if he does live. And they've absorbed up that tactical visor. Now this whole hog can actually get some work done. Good sleep though, stops any kills from coming through. They've got a third. Hong Kong Attitude do still need to commit onto this one. They're having a bit of a hard time of it, but they are going to go anyway. The nano boost is on to Ting.
Oh,
The sleep, the Earth Shatter is there. That is a great one for them. And Erican has his own boost. Cowman is going to close out the kills with the magnetic hook. Catches Shaolin too, who will not be able to pulse bomb out. And it does look like HQ will just barely get it over to get the payload underway. It has taken them though almost the entire 4 minutes to do so.
And in fact, it's still not even quite over just yet. You still got a bit of resistance from Hong Kong Attitude, who do not want to give this up. They just want to bleed down the timer as much as possible. Sound barrier had to be committed
now
from
Mango's
ASU.
in a tight
Crappy
spot.
still dies, and we're still looking for kills. Now, this could be disastrous now for Hong Kong Attitude if they do not fall back in time, because like I said, ASU, they play that
There it
momentum
is.
so good.
Yeah, Mango is already in a tight spot on the retreat. He should not have been the last person there to contest. They should have been letting, you know, a Ting or Shaolin or K4 maybe even do it, but definitely not Mango. And they do pay for that. They lose the opportunity to get an early defense, and now they've actually got quite a big ask. Yeah, that was quite tight.
And this is where ASQ now going to deny this sort of high ground play that Hong Kong Attitude will inevitably make, and they're already starting to get that high ground. So ASQ, momentum is good getting those picks, but they're not denying the positioning, and that's going to be important if they want to be able to contest.
Oh, another good hook is going to force out the Primal Rage. Crappy is out, though, from that self-destruct, and AHQ are actually getting beaten back here, especially these tanks getting very aggressive upon. Cowman losing his life is good stuff to start it off. That was one of the few ultimates they had. And actually, Hong Kong Attitude, they did just barely find an opportunity to defend against AHQ. Oh, this could be a closeout. Oh, it doesn't quite close it.
It's a little bit unfortunate, but they do force AHQ out. Despite not getting the kills, positionally, this is where Hong Kong Attitude have won. And positionally, unfortunately, AHQ didn't deny that they got the kills and they staggered the respawns. But what's that going to do for you if you don't also sort of set yourself up on the second cap, on the street space, and then be able to win the next fight as well, which they lost?
That is another decent hook onto Jin Kao, forces out the sound barrier. They're going to commit a whole hog to it. A lot of it gets blocked up though, and he gets pulse bombed to death. The nanovisor is good from Dizzy. It does take out K4, but not until he had found Keris. And now Hong Kong Attitude still kind of on the attack on this defense, if you will, as they're just getting more and more and more. AHQ are actually kind of struggling to get their way through this very mobile Hong Kong Attitude, who can just constantly thread past these bulky, immobile tanks.
We're nearly at 1 minute, and the card movement is not good enough for how much time is actually left for Hong Kong Attitude. So rather for AHQ, at least the ultimates are good, but Earth Shatter is not really going to help you when there's barely anyone playing on the ground. Most of these players are actually in the air.
That's good.
At least, yeah, it's a very good start. In fact, I think something might actually be able to get done out of this. If they can get a mech, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Jin Kao actually has to go into full retreat here and risks losing his mech in the process. Has to throw out the self-destruct miles away from anyone so that he doesn't just end up in pilot form. Solo Earth Shatter, but it's worth it. They get the closeout. Oh no, not quite, barely enough of a window to get the Primal Rage, and he immediately converts onto Erican. AHQ again being absolutely routed here off what was a great start. A Ting play of the game.
AHQ got to go Winston now. They got to change up their lineup. This is the final chance to do that. Cowman, get off the hog. It's not currently working. They need mobility. This is the problem. They're just not able to assault this high ground. So here we go. Genji, Winston, this is what I'm talking about. It may be last minute, but it is also their final opportunity to get it done.
Yeah, they don't have any ultimates aside from Lazy Titan self-destruct, but luckily for them, Hong Kong Attitude don't either. It is that nearly naked fight we've been talking about. The only one wearing clothes is the teenage girl. And AHQ, oh, there we go. That is a very early self-destruct. It doesn't find anything, but it does force Hong Kong Attitude's positioning. Now everyone's naked as Jin Kao gets forced out of the mech as well. That's the open that they need. Hong Kong Attitude, though, they have every opportunity to convert kills here. There's got to be a lot of distance for the cart to go, but they're not getting them anyway. Dizzy is the one with this boost for some reason, but they're making it work. Mango is barely alive. K4, he's going to commit. He's trying to get a few. He's got Lazy Titan to kick it off, and he's trying to get more. Who can he get? Yes, just barely shut down. The payload is still underway. Hong Kong Attitude, they will get another chance to contest.
Oh man, this is so tense. They do, and it's going to be an even tougher defense.
You don't want to let this cap go.
Because there's still ultimates HK have, and HQ got barely anything to play with. The pulse bomb would be magical.
The pulse bomb would be huge, but it's wide. The sound barrier is committed. They're trying to commit the kills.
Still wide.
They're struggling so much, and a Ting is nearly dead. They throw out the boost, but Mango is already down. They are starting to close it though, as they get Keris too. They get Crappy. It's barely held alive by a Ting. It's hanging by a thread. The self-destruct from Lazy Titan, it doesn't catch enough, and Jin Kao catches Lazy Titan's mech in it. Cowman shut down. Hong Kong Attitude set to hold on, set to get their second win of the night, set to get their second upset against AHQ. And Hong Kong Attitude, a marathon night, but they sprint across the finish line.
Wow, 10 maps in a row. 2 back-to-back best of 5s going all the way the full distance. And Hong Kong Attitude, this is their best result ever. You cannot ask for anything else. You might not beat Flash Wolves, but you got 2 wins against AHQ, you 1 win against Machi in the latest series, and also the last one against Blank. This is the best Hong Kong Attitude you can ever get so far in the tournament. And like I said before this, it's time to celebrate because all the best competition is out of the way for your team now.
You have secured 4th place, or at least as good as. Short of some maddening upsets out of the teams like Detonator and Fireball, I do not see Hong Kong Attitude losing that 4th place. And the hardest thing about this all, they look like a stronger playoffs candidate than AHQ right now. That is rough for AHQ to carry in.
As tough as that is to say, I mean, it's interesting because you almost want to see this in a best of 7. Who would win in a best of 7? And AHQ got 2 in there, Hong Kong Attitude got 3. We would be going to a map 6 if it was a best of 7. It's difficult to say because AHQ had some great moments in there right at the end though. Hong Kong Attitude, better team at the end of the day.
If it was a best of 7, I could see it going to a game 7, and I still wouldn't know how to call it. Right up until the final map, I did not know how to call this one. Hong Kong Attitude take a well-deserved bow there on the stage. And wow, that was such an intense series. AHQ, that is such a shame for them because this was the series that actually would have secured them potentially a 2nd place seed, and now they've lost that. Blank are going to be so pleased because Hong Kong Attitude, they had to win both of their matches tonight, and both of them were really close. So Blank will be happy that they've kind of got that 2nd seed just as much in the bag as Hong Kong Attitude's 4th place is pretty much in the bag. So I don't see these standings changing really at all until the end of the tournament.
Blank would have to lose another match now for AHQ to sort of equal with them, so this is a much more difficult loss for AHQ than it is a great win for Hong Kong Attitude. And so for AHQ, now, I mean, actually, if you're on the Blank side, at first you're kind of cursing Hong Kong Attitude, like, damn, you guys made us lose. But on the other hand, you're like, thank you for beating AHQ, though, because then that puts us back into 2nd.
And that's the thing. Like I said, Hong Kong Attitude, they're looking like a stronger playoffs candidate than AHQ because, look, that last 3 games even, that wasn't AHQ, still experimenting, still finding their feet, yada yada yada. Like
that's their real team.
Yeah, like whether that was the truth or whether it was an excuse to hide some odd play, that wasn't what was happening tonight. AHQ were actually pulling out the stocks. They were trying to play at their best, and it actually wasn't as good as Hong Kong Attitudes. This is the AHQ that is going into playoffs. This is what they have to fix before playoffs. There is no, we're not playing at our best yet. There is, this is how good we are, and we must get better.
Now let's take a look at the one result on that board, which is the biggest question mark, which is the most surprising one. Dorado, they just didn't get on the cap.
Yeah.
What is going on with that? Because
that was poor.
That could have been anything. That could have been the win for HQ. That could have been a time bank, whatever it is. It just ended. It wasn't. That's not how it should have ended for AHQ. But there you go. The result. It's almost like after that, the result is 3-2. But really, it might have been a 3-1 for AHQ had they not made a really silly error.
Yeah, and again, like that's the AHQ that now goes into a semi-final in just a few short weeks, and you hope by then they're gonna not make those same mistakes. You don't want to be a team that is just going to lose one of your games because you make a silly amateurish mistake, and it is a silly amateur mistake. It's not respecting just how long the overtime has already been going on for. It is not respecting the fact that you must commit to the fight. It is assuming someone else is going to do the work. It doesn't mean that everyone needs to pile onto it, but it means, man, you have got to communicate that someone is going to be on that payload. You cannot just assume. And if your communication can't even handle something as simple as stay on the payload, you cannot match Flash Wolves, full stop.
And this is also a team that has had some fantastic moments, even tonight, which was, Cowman getting a bunch of kills, spawn camping. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude just fell into that trap time and time again. Many members. It was just Cowman going fishing and just hook after hook after hook. It doesn't even matter after that. And then other moments like what was another good one for AHQ on Hanamura as well? The double cap in what was like in tens. It was like a double cap in 10, 15 seconds.
So quick.
How did that even happen? So some amazing moments, some amazing setup plays by AHQ that really gave them some deserved wins. But at the end of the day, really silly stuff like that Dorado cap. That's the kind of stuff that they deserve to lose that, unfortunately.
One thing I will say though about Dorado, had that not happened, had the fight actually persisted, Hong Kong Attitude were still quite well poised to maybe take the fight there. Failing that, they did still have a lot of room to take the fight on the third point. Failing that, it could have gone, would have gone to a time bank. Or actually, no, I think it might have gone straight to golden point. No, I think both teams would get a minute, wouldn't they? We don't even know this game.
Hong Kong Attitude didn't fully cap out, did they?
They did fully cap out.
They fully capped out, but it wasn't overtime.
Yeah, it wasn't overtime. But that's the thing. Like, there was actually still every opportunity for Hong Kong Attitude to win after that. So I will give them credit where credit's due. They didn't just win because AHQ made a mistake. They happened to win because AHQ made a mistake, but they could well have won and potentially probably would have won had that not happened. So I would still say we would have gone to a fifth game. And the fifth was a well-deserved win by Hong Kong Attitude. They were just better than AHQ when it truly counted. And by the way, man of the match, K4 on Genji, 100% deserved.
Yeah, Dorado was probably his playground. It was a lot of his plays on the Genji that really did it. So particularly on that first cap, I think that's the one that we really talk about. So now let's get into the post-match interview with the man of the match himself, and I'll be translating this one over.
大家好，我是 HK 的 K4。
老话很累，
Must be very tiring.
真的很累，而且你刚刚是不是感觉还有点喘啊？
How are you feeling now?
就腰酸背痛。
I got a sore back now,
就
maybe.
坐非常久啊。可是今天其实一开始你们状态非常的好，我还想说，
So you were looking
怎么感觉
fantastic from the
好
start
像
here?
就是手蛮烫的，应该是有机会直落
Looking
三
pretty
叶
warmed up as well
就连在
into
打努巴尼
AHQ.
推车的时候，你们都直接不推车杀到对方。
对啊，就是大家都杀红眼，忘记要。
Everyone in Numbani was in killing mode, and we just sort of even forgot about the objective sometimes.
其实抽奖吧，手感。
就其实平常啦，训练比较多，所以主要手感就比较不会让它跑掉，而且
So we do practice a lot, so
应该是不大会跑掉，就手会一直保持热的。
So we maintain our warmth as it were, so we never sort of cool down and just keep
杀
playing.
歪全部，超级强的，你的状态保持得非常的好。
So on Dorado as well, you had a really fantastic killing spree.
意外，哎，所以我好奇问一下，所以是你要玩76的话，原氏才会换那个小林玩，对不对？
Alright, so if you play Soldier,
那我
then
今天
Sheldon
跟那个
plays
分析台聊天，他
Genji.
们说好像 HK 不太会打前压，是吗？
前压，我们是有在多试的尝试，然后现在也在学习当中。
所以还在
We are
练习
still
的
we're actually
而且
trying
你
a
的
few
原
other
氏
different
一
things
直
as well,
被
trying
安
to
娜
learn
睡，可是
some
又
other
秒醒，
different compositions. You actually got slayed by Anna a few times.
在那边睡一阵子。
就马上就醒来了，对不对？好了，因为今天打得非常久，只是我感觉你也是非常
You're
累，
playing
要不
for
要最
a
后
long
帮
time,
今
so
天这整个比赛下一个注解？因为对你来说应该也是个蛮难忘的经验。
this is a very probably memorable night for you.
好累啊。
I'm just very tired.
我也好累哦，马上把今天的比赛最后画面交给我们的沙发区喽。
So I'm going to go for onto the couch as
要
well
给 HK
with
拍手。
J,
打好打满，而且
FPS
打
Life
到
and
前面
Jin
的
Count
预
as
期
well.
是打到后面加赛，打了5个钟头，打了10张地图，然后打了2次加赛，最后获胜。
10
这边
maps
想要问
plus
一
2
下
golden caps.
教练，真的，
So for the
这个礼
coach,
拜有没有做什么加强
What did you
上
do
面的
this
训
week?
练
What
因为
happened?
你们昨天打赢 Blank，
and
这
you
个
beat
对我们
Blank
来
as
讲
well.
已经是大开眼界。今
That's
天
already
再
a
打
very
赢
big
气
victory.
再收掉 HQ。
And then you beat 2 more teams today.
如果
So
说这礼拜有没有加强，我觉得每一个礼拜我都约满约好了，对不对？
I think we're getting better every
其
week.
实打的团都很多。
是，
We've been
那
practicing
如
a
果
lot
真的
every
特
week.
别有说，我觉得有一个队伍帮助我们很多啊，就是韩国的第1名 Lunatic High， 我觉
So
得
we've been playing Lunatic High, who've
我
been
约了
helping
他
us a
们一
lot.
次，然后我们被虐了每一张地图，除了国王大道。
We've been losing to them a lot.
我们
We
真的被
lose
震撼教育了。
we lose
就是
almost every time.
彻底让我们感觉我们真的是有差距。然后
That makes us feel like we need to improve even
那
more.
一天打完之后，大家的心情也是蛮沉重的啦，所以
就哭了
But we
也没有
always
到哭，但是就是觉得自己真的还不够，然后就很努力练习，然后
we've
就
been trying harder
有
ever since
我觉得
you
有
know,
蜕变
after
一
our
点啦，就
previous
是有一
losses.
些大家有看一下鲁纳提卡，我们打完之后有看一下 VOD， 然后有感受到什么是打6
We watched a lot of the VODs against Lunatic High in general
是
and
打团，
really learning
什么
about
是
where we're
做一件事情
going wrong,
明
what we
确、
need to
简
improve.
单、快速。 不要做一些多余的东西。他们几乎没有做任何多余的动作，做一个任务。就像我要挂球吃坦克，他们
They play objectives quite well. They have specific goals in mind. This is the play that we need to make. This is our goal. This is our win condition. They do that very well.
6个人共识很强，那个共同想要做的任务非常一致。
And their communication seems really good as well. The 6 players are so cohesive and so able to just play on a single goal in mind.
我这里可以补充，就好像2个职业队，可是明明是2个职业队，打起来就好像在玩不同一款游戏，你知道吗？就是出去然后被当小孩子在玩。
Actually feels like we're playing 2 different games. It feels like
大家都一样是职业队，
对，
结果打完后
we're kids playing in an adult league almost.
然后也学到，就是我们把这些东西拿来，就是变成我们自己的东西后，
But you know, even through losing a lot, we learn so much from those games.
就变成就从他们身上吸收到很多啦，
算是拷贝队伍啦。
对啊，这样真的非常不错哦，难得的一个经验。那我想问一下君康，因为今天对于你们来讲，它是一个第4名的争夺战，你们对上007打得非常的焦灼，包含前面你们是0-2，后面逆势
You've been losing to Machi a lot recently, but now you're beating them.
2次的一个加赛，对于你来讲，这场比赛有没有一个很美好的瞬间？
美好的瞬间就是最后一张加赛的时候赢下去的那个瞬间呢。可是其实，在途中已经心态爆炸很多次了。
真的吗？
他输第1局又输第2局的时候，我们大家其实很
We had a lot of moments in there where we just, which were quite difficult, but we always just sort of kept our heads down and stayed in the game.
我今天有一个蛮好的指令我今天一上去都同一个指令，我没有多说什么废话，我说你们敢输试试看。
哦，这个
真的，我真的
Jace says as well, you know, when you guys lose, he said he really wasn't.
输2张的时候，我就说你们敢输试试看啊。
He was telling them straight, like the maps you lost, you deserve to lose those maps.
花村自己送掉，第1个点本来要守住了，我们星星自己送头，然后他们一进来，我又讲一句，你们敢输试试看，我绝对不会输。
哇，这边给队员压力，但我觉得压力就是一种动力啦。
对啦。
那对于你们来讲，因为今天真的打了5个小时
So you played for about 5 hours today.
对于你们来讲，精神的一个体力的一个消耗，会不会真的非常非常
What about the fatigue here? How do you feel about the fatigue?
我现在倒下去就可以睡觉了。
Jackel says I could probably just lie down and fall asleep now.
其实有点失神的一个状况。
其实没有，我打到后面，我其实脑海已经没有办法想事情了，我就是靠本能在玩了，就是知道说啊干，我就不会就是没有做多余的动作，你知道吗？我就突然就是觉得说啊，我这时候该做什么就做什么，然后已经没有在东想西想。
He doesn't have to think about too much. He just says he's focusing on the game and says whatever I need to do, I'm focused on what I need to do in the game at the time.
没有啦，他说干呐，
我回去要罚一下。不错。
这边因为夜深人静，应该小朋友都睡。
不过这次应该对我们来说，这个队伍是很难忘的经验啦，就是2次加赛，然后又2次。
This is a very memorable match tonight as well, beating both these teams and even into the Golden Caps as well. We really wanted to win tonight.
是一个突破，也是一个进步。
This is a massive improvement for us.
很开心，今天
We're very happy about these 2 victories.
想要掉眼泪，很感动。
You feel like you almost want to cry. He says I'm not ready to cry just yet, but maybe when I get home.
对。
那对于你们来讲，这4个循环挑战过 HQ， 挑战过 Brink， 就差一个就是闪电狼队。
So the only team you haven't beaten is Flash Wolves.
我们会把它当台湾的
最后一场比赛来打。
台湾没有目标啦。
That's our goal. Our goal is to beat them.
真的很强。
Right now they are the best team.
对啊。
你们再把它添一半，对不对
？OK 啊。
对啊，加油啊！
前面5队都让他添过1败了。
对啊。
我们怎么很少？
So the other teams, Flash Wolves have beaten every single other team, so it's still they're so far yet.
我觉得这一点很重要，不会说好像后面没有不攸关盘，因为确定你们基本上输 HQ， 你们也是第4名。那我们看到你们的
So you're definitely fourth now.
到你们想要变强的那一种渴望，我觉得这个精神非常难得。那也恭喜你们获胜了。
It's been a very difficult but well-deserved victory for you guys. So there it is. I mean, a lot of interesting things there. And I think Jinkel said it quite well. Is it's it's 2 wins they really wanted. Especially it's the last time they get to play AHQ in a match. Last time they get to play Machi in a match. AHQ was about solidifying their position against them. Machi was about kind of solidifying 4th place, but also getting a bit of revenge because they have been losing to Machi in the past as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And It showed, man. It really showed. They wanted to win. They were hungry to win. And he even said, I could fall asleep right now. The fatigue, in a big way, it was there, but they didn't let it get to them. They pressed on. They still had more in the tank. And I guarantee you, if it were a best of 7, if it went to a game 7, they could have still kept going. They were never done. They were never finished. They wanted it more than anyone else tonight, and it showed.
Absolutely, you know, and it was as much as he could fall asleep. Now, you're right, if it had gone to extra maps, he would have been wide awake, super focused to get that because they wanted to win, probably more than any other team. And you could see it. You could see the passion. You could see how happy they were when they were winning. You could see how down they were and kind of, I guess, even a little bit angry when they were losing because they knew they could taste how close they were and they know they wanted to finish that one out. So, wow, what a series, what a marathon.
What a night.
We've never had back-to-back best of 5s. We've even never had 2 golden caps in a single series already. So a lot of new things, a couple records even broken, just amazing plays overall. Well, I'm pretty done. I don't know about you, but
I could fall asleep right now.
probably. Well, let's just lie down on this desk maybe. But that's going to be it from us. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude, fantastic evening from them. Sun Sister and Fireball to start things off with 3-1 in Fireball's favor. Then Machi took a 3-0 against Sun Sister. Hong Kong Attitude, the start of the marathon for them, 3-2 versus Machi, then 3-2 again versus AHQ, back-to-back. What a series. Now let's take a look at the standings as well. Flash Wolves obviously still on top, blank now in the number 2 spot after AHQ just lost to Hong Kong Attitude, who are now securely in number 4 with Machi, securely in number 5. 6 is Fireball, 7 Detonated, 8 is Sun System. We've got more matches coming up. One more day of week 10, and then the final week of the regular season play starting next Friday, and then we're getting into playoffs with the top 3 teams. I've been Kevin Everwalker. Joined with me is Matt Pixie Carroll earlier on in the evening. We also had Dallas Easy Fight Titty and also Matt Smite Ross. And from everyone at the Full Circle team, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we will see you tomorrow.